Good evening, everyone, and welcome to DGL Premier Division action between iFG.Tilt and Bravado Gaming Blue. My name is Hulbert, and I'll be joined by Harry and Psychic to bring you all the action. Harry, welcome to the cast.
Hey, well, it's been a while. It's been a really long time since we cast together, but I'm excited to be back and to get to enjoy your presence.
Yeah, I am also really happy to have you here, one of the best men for the job, and certainly going to be able to give us a great deal of insight as this game progresses. Talking of which, we are already into the banning stages here, as we have the Winter Waven and the Tusk banned out by Bravado Gaming Blue, and the response so far has been the Leshrac. Any surprises for you there, Harry, or everything seemed just as you expected?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily line up with my banning style. I like banning Winter Waven first, but I wouldn't ban the Tusk. It makes it really easy for iFG here. They can just ban Quap, and then you don't get any imbalanced heroes, but they don't ban Quap, so I guess you get a Quap. So I guess it worked out pretty well anyway, but if it was me, I wouldn't have banned Tusk. I would have banned something like Shadow Fiend, probably, and then leave my opponents with the option of Tusk Quap. If they ban neither of them, I get Tusk, who's much better than Quap, I would say, and I think the statistics agree. And if they didn't ban, or if they did ban Quap or Tusk, then I get the other one. But, I mean, like I said, it works out. I'd be pretty shocked here if Bravado didn't take Quap, but based on the fact that they've already spent 30 seconds thinking about it, I would say maybe there's a possibility, although I don't see why you would take something else here.
I must admit, they have taken quite a long time with all their picks, or their bans so far, so maybe I'm just sort of fleshing out what exactly they should go for here. iFG.Tilt, as far as South African teams go, they are a little, I wouldn't say unknown. I mean, obviously, Prem side, they have been around for quite a while, but all the same, they're, I'm not sure if they've really been tested by a side like Bravado Gaming Blue just yet. And I believe their previous loss was to Bravado Gaming Emotion, who are serious competitors. I would say Bravado Gaming Blue, with all due respect, are probably not quite of the same caliber as Bravado Gaming Emotion, but all the same, these are a mean bunch of guys. They play some really solid Dota, and it will be difficult for iFG.Tilt. That said, though, I know this is a lounge game, and there are certainly some people that have put their rares down. And if you are going for iFG.Tilt, I think based on the percentiles, you might actually find yourself walking away with more than you should have should this game go their way. But all the same, there is that Queen of Pain pickup you mentioned, Harry, and the response is going to be the line.
Yeah, so the problem is that iFG also, since they banned the Earthshaker, I would say one of the best ways to deal with Queen of Pain is actually by having Earthshaker. There's like two reasons for this. First of all, Queen of Pain in a 1 vs 1 matchup, if she gets you to about half health, she can like Shadow Strike, blink on top of you, and just kill you. But if there's the possibility of an Earthshaker being around, which like Earthshaker kind of spends a lot of time towards mid, with a Fisher, they can easily turn this around. I would say that like if you have to go up against Quap mid, you either want like Earthshaker plus Lina or Earthshaker plus Shadow Fiend would be like the two most common ones, other than like obviously Leshrac, but Leshrac is normally going to be banned. I mean, Viper's fine too, but Viper's just a lame hero. You don't really want to have to pick that. So I think like if they could have had the Earthshaker with the Shadow Fiend here instead of the Lion, they'd be much better off. But as is, I mean, Shadow Fiend's still a pretty decent matchup against the Quap. You just have to be very careful because, like I said, if Quap gets a little bit ahead, she can really start to steamroll the SF.
I think that's one of the big things. I mean, she does get that level advantage. Shadow Fiend is certainly not a hero known for his tankiness in the early stages. Certainly can bring him down with a good combination. I quite like the Witch Doctor pick up though. Always find that he is fun hero to watch and to cast, and maybe we'll get some good dances off and deal some real damage to iFG. But we are going to wrap up the first set of picks now. Go into the banning stages. Harry, what do you think that Bravado Gaming Blue should be looking for here?
Looking to ban, or what they want to pick after the bans?
What they're looking to ban. Well, now they kind of cheated by banning up Slark already, but go ahead. Hey, were you going to get Slark?
I was not going to guess Slark. I think normally the second set of bans, you kind of ban some very common heroes to take out, like Brood. Brood, for example, I think has like a 40% ban rate, despite like only a 5% pick rate or something. I think Brood's very commonly banned in the second phase. Bounty Hunter's a reasonable ban since they're going to have a Shadow Fiend mid. The Bounty Hunter rotation mid, if he gets a hit off with Janata, or even just level 1 with an Orb of Venom, with the Queen of Pain there, it's very easy to kill the SF, so that's a pretty good ban. Bravado, I would say, like, there's also Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker's really good for either of these teams. Like, if you have a mid semi-carry hero who has some sort of a big AoE damage, they can get people relatively low. The most common one is Zeus, but Zeus isn't picked very often, so like Quap, Shadow Fiend, Leshrac are like the best case scenario, I would say. And any of those heroes can set up Bloodseeker really well with Thirst, so I would say Bloodseeker's a pretty good ban here, although I don't know if he's really come into the South African scene as much as he has internationally, whereas like internationally, in the past couple weeks, he's actually, I think, the 6th most picked or banned hero.
Oh, certainly seeing a lot of love. Harry, I think you may just want to check your in-game mic, by the way. Some people
Yeah, you're
suggesting that
probably
they
right.
can't
I
hear you.
probably don't have my in-game mic
Dire team
on. Yeah, there we
Oh,
go. Now,
apologies to the in-game
fix that.
viewers. Serves you right for not watching the stream. Just teasing. But
Yeah, I'm just trying to drive
thing,
people to the stream, right? Just trying to up views. It's all for a good
yeah,
cause.
we're just going to mute ourselves and wait for everyone to get to the stream. But yeah, all jokes aside, we have the Sand King banned out. One of my favorite heroes. Always sad to see the TT smile of him being banned out. And that will be in the response to the Bounty Hunter from iFG, who are looking for their last ban out here. And once again, taking quite a bit of time. I'm just loving the respect that both of these sides are showing. Often you see when these sort of really big teams like Bravado come up against these sort of underdog opponents, that they fly through the bans, they pick up some silly stuff, but looking pretty serious from the boys in blue. And IFG obviously taking this very, very seriously. Just dropped a game to Noob. Sorry, spoilers for those who might want to go check that game out still. But that game wasn't bad. I mean, I've got to say, Noob is also a very, very solid side. I think Chidori is a real up-and-comer as far as South African gaming goes. And I think Bravado Gaming would sort of look at a side like iFG.Tilt and say, look, these guys, they're underdogs, but they're underdogs that can fight back, and they can take a game off you, maybe even a series if you're not careful. Do see the Dazzle banned out by iFG Gaming, and the Clockwork going to be the next pickup for them in this phase, with Bravado Gaming to respond. Harry, what are your thoughts on the picks and bans so far?
Yeah, well, Clockwork is one of the most consistent offlaners in this patch. Probably one of the best outside of like Tusk, I would say, who you kind of would take anytime you can get him. The only thing is that usually, like, it's also a little bit weird. I feel like the Clockwork, it's almost more of, they're just like, we want a good hero who's consistent. We're not necessarily concerned with how effective he's going to be in this game. And, like, you kind of want something in the front line to make a little space for Shadow Fiend to deal damage behind. But usually, when you pick Clockwork, like, Clockwork's going to get level 6 in the offlane, and then he's going to make his very first rotation mid with Hook and get a kill mid. Except Queen of Fane, you can't actually do that on. Like, it's great against Shadow Fiend, great against Lina, Leshrac, any of these heroes, but Queen of Fane's like one of the few mids you can't actually do that. Now, this does kind of, I guess, lead to the follow-up of the Skywrath as well, because obviously if you get the silence, then it does make it possible to do it, but it's still, I would say, a little bit of a weird pick in that regard. Still, though, I mean, there's never really anything wrong with picking Clockwork, because even after, like, sure, that mid situation, you're not maybe going to be able to make that rotation that you would like. It's still going to be good all game, and it's very good at disrupting Witch Doctor, which is obviously like a top priority, because, well, watching it go is usually not very fun for the opposing team.
Yep, I mean, it's one of those frustrating ultis to deal with. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the sort of Clockwork Scarlet Mage combination. That's good. Also, I like old school kind of stuff. I mean, I'm an old school guy back in the days of Dota 1, so I really enjoy the sort of setups that Clockwork allows for heroes like Shadow Fiend. You can sort of just sit up next to one of those cogs, hopefully with more than one hero connected inside, and blow up like a really big ulti. Always beautiful to watch. But yeah, well, actually the Faceless Void, I mean, as I was saying this, is like, as long as it's not something that can really disrupt that in a big way, and obviously Faceless Void can certainly do that. But Harry, what are your thoughts on that particular hero in this patch?
I think the hero's not very good in this patch. I don't think it's terrible. I think it has its place, but I think it's pretty bad. I think only EE really champions this hero. But I mean, it can work. The thing is, I wonder, is the Wind Ranger going to be a support Wind Ranger? Because I know that Scant used to like that. I think that this is like not a very good draft if it's Wind Ranger offlane. First of all, Wind Ranger is like pretty bad offlane. I mean, we actually saw this in Game 1 of EG versus Cloud9. I think the only way you really ever want to run her offlane is if it's going to be with a dual lane or if you have a Drow on your team. Otherwise, like, I think she's just like she doesn't get enough levels. She's too weak, too easy to kill, stuff like that. I think most teams don't really ever run her offlane anymore, and it needs to be mid or safe lane. And you can't put the Void offlane because they have a Skywrath, so they can easily kill the Void. So I think the only way for me really to like this Void pick would be if the Wind Ranger is a support. I don't think it is going to be a support, but at the same time, like, I think maybe I'm not sure Scant. I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to say because maybe he does. Like, Scant just likes to draft, I think, stuff that he likes, and it's maybe not always what other people would say is 100% efficient or correct or whatever. But if this was me, my perspective, if I was drafting these heroes against IFG, would be that I wasn't giving IFG enough respect, which is kind of contrary to what you said early on. Because drafting like 3 greedy cores, I don't think that's really ever the way to go in this meta.
Team pick.
Well, you'd certainly know better than I would, Harry. All the same, I mean, Scant is certainly a captain and drafter who's very well known for his sort of eccentric drafting style. Definitely a player that likes to stretch what his team can do. Sometimes it obviously works out really well from what we've seen in the past. But at the same time, we've also seen him stretch a little too far and find himself caught out a little bit by teams you'd not necessarily expect to have such a good showing against Bravado Blue. And iFG, they're the kind of team that can do that. So if we do find ourselves in a situation that's best of three, I wouldn't be. I mean, excuse me, if we go all the way to the third game of the best of three, I wouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, let's just go over the bans quickly. We do have the Lich band out. That's, as Prophecy would say, one of South Africans, they love that hero. And Gyrocopter then banned out as well by Bravado Game Blue. With Clinks wrapping up IFG's lineup. Just saw this man played by one of my favorite players. You know how much I like that guy. So I'm not sad to see the bony guy involved. And Bravado Game will wrap up their lineup now. So, Harry, is it fair to say that you're favouring the iFG.Tilt draft so far?
Well, like I said, there were some issues with it, namely the clockwork, which I didn't like that much. But I do prefer the mid-game focus of iFG.Tilt's draft more than I like Bravado's draft. Like I said, unless the Wind Ranger is a support, in which case, actually, I think Bravado's draft can also be quite fine. I think that the Clink should have been a Bloodseeker. I think that would have been a lot better. But I still think Clinks is actually a pretty good pick here. I think it's one of the best they could have had. It's another ranged hero to go along with the Clockwork. And now that is going to be Avenge, so it is going to be a core Wind Ranger. Unless it's going to be core Avenge, but I don't think that's going to be happening. So yeah, I guess I would say that I do favor IFG's draft a little bit, but I think Bravado Blue, if I had bet, even after the draft, I would still bet on Bravado Blue right now.
Great. Well, that wraps up that phase of things. I'm really keen to get the action, though. I mean, it's certainly always great seeing some Premier Division action going on here. Once again, this is the DGL, for those of you who are just tuning in. My name's Albert, and I'm joined by Harry, little Psychics and Stacks. Big shout out to Riddit, who helped us organize this cast in the end. And yeah, let's get it on. I'll go ahead and introduce the players from Bravado, and Harry, if you would be so kind to get to IFG after. So, heading towards the top lane, we'll have Chosen on the Faces Void. Towards the middle, we have Bravado CH1, Chosen One. He's better known playing the Wind Ranger. Once again, Dreamy will be rocking the Witch Doctor, and towards the bottom lane, we have Scansor on the Vengeful Spirit, and Splendid on the Queen of Pain. Over to Harry and the side of IFG.
Yep, so we've got Modace, who will be supporting on Lion. Atmosphere, who will be going off lane on the Clock. Cloud, who will be playing the Clinks, most likely in the safe lane. Santo going mid on the Shadow Fiend. And Treckles, who will be playing the Skywrath. So I do have to say that I like the way that Scantus actually set up these lanes. It makes me like his draft. I mean, it makes me dislike his draft less, I guess I would say, since it looks like he's going to be doing a dual lane top with the Faceless Void, which, like I said, the reason why he couldn't put Faceless Void in the off lane was just because of the Skywrath. But with the dual lane, they can't actually really kill the Faceless Void, I think. And Quap doesn't really need a lot of help. Like, she doesn't need all the supports bottom. Well, she kind of does if they aggressive round, but they won't. And she's going to be just fine against the Clock. So this makes the draft a lot better, I would say.
The battle begins.
Great. Well, let's see where everyone does end up. Obviously, the top rune and bottom rune secured to the two sides, respectively. And we'll see how they set with the lanes. Now, what we do, the Atmosphere is going to pick up the Clockwork. It's going to be interesting if that ends up in a 1-on-1. I mean, Clockwork's a pretty handy guy to go into solo situations. But I'd certainly favour the Queen of Pain here in this lane. And I got to say, like, a Queen of Pain with a lot of levels, a lot of space, can be really, really tough to bring down. Chosen One also towards middle lane. He's got two friends there at the moment, Tackles and Santo. Chuck is just trying to do some harassment, but actually takes a lot more damage for it. Does pop down one of the wards, give the high range sight to Santo, who will love to get some nice long ranges onto Chosen One if he gets the opportunity. And then top lane will be that Chosen Faceless Void, as well as Dreamy on the Witch Doctor, going up against both Modace and Cloud on the Clinks and Line. Any thoughts of what the lane to watch here is, Harry?
Well, I wanted to talk for a second about what they did in mid there. It's a pretty common thing to have a support come help the Shadow Fiend lane in mid for the first one. Oh, wow. What? That... I mean, that shouldn't... I miss First Blood, guys. I'm a terrible caster, but, like, Faceless Void level 1, killing a Clinks? I don't even know. Yeah. Well, maybe there's going to be some more action now. Okay, so what I was going to say is, usually you do something like this so that the Shadow Fiend can get a couple souls, but the Shadow Fiend had actually taken raises, so he didn't actually get anything out of the Sky going there, and the Sky just placed a very obvious lane ward, which the Radiant spotted and Scant immediately dewarded. So Sky didn't really get anything done there, and at the same time, his absence top apparently turned into a kill, which might actually end up being another kill.
Yeah, a lot of damage going on to Medace. He's getting low, and he will be brought down. And even Cloud taking quite a few right clicks. He hasn't picked up that skeleton walk just yet. So, taking a lot of damage there. And gotta say, going really well for Bravado early on.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm talking about, like why I said even though iFG might have had a better draft, it just didn't matter. I mean, kills like this shouldn't happen. Like, a dual lane off lane faces Void, killing heroes, like, this early on. I mean, the second kill, it's, like, more reasonable that it happened because he already got a little bit ahead after the first one. But, yeah, I mean, Bravado just kind of outplaying in the lane so far, and I don't really know what the comeback mechanic is going to be, because make no mistake, IFG already in a situation where they need to come back, because Clinks is not a hero who wants to play from behind. SF, like, he can't make your team come back, he can make himself come back. So it's really going to come down to the clock getting a fast level 6 and some rotations with hookshot. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of great hookshot targets, and there is swap on the Radiant, but Scant has been rotating a lot, won't have a lot of experience, so it'll at least be a little bit later of a swap.
I don't know if you caught that up, by the way, in the top lane, something pretty curious. I think they were looking for a kill on the Clinks because they dropped down a sentry right in range of the tower, which immediately got brought down. So, a little bit comical stuff going on early on in this game. Santo with the haste rune looking to put a little bit of pressure on to what do we call this guy here? CH1, I guess, is going to have to do as they exchange some blows and a raise to the face. We do have a little bit of rotation here from Scantle. He has walked straight past the enemy ward, so I don't think he's going to get a huge amount done. You just can see Atmosphere heading quite far back, and then he's going to be coupled up at the moment with Trackles, who is going to look to help out this lane. But I'm not sure, where do you think Cloud should look to sort of apply some additional pressure? I mean, losing 2 kills early on, it's not exactly the end of the world, but also I kind of feel like you need to respond somehow.
Yeah, the problem is there's nowhere to respond. I mean, you can rotate your 2 supports. Scarith is bottom, actually, which is a little bit weird. He's actually only level 1, so there's not really any kill potential. I guess it's just to get the Clockwork a little more space, but this is actually kind of counterproductive because it's actually taking away the Clockwork's experience, and the most important thing for Clock isn't farm, it's just getting level 6. And if the Scarith rotated mid with the Lion, they could potentially kill the Windrunner, so I think that would be the best case. Or, like, the Scarith could just go back top, and as 3 heroes, they could maybe do what they couldn't as 2 against this Void, and force him out of the lane, maybe kill him, maybe not, but at least secure a little bit more farm for the Clinks.
I mean, it's a little bit of a scary thought. I mean, Chosen on this Void, it's not a hero that you really enjoy giving up a lot of farm to early on. And he's doing for 19 for 3. This is, of course, the off lane, so it's really more than he would have really... I mean, not necessarily more than you would have hoped for, but certainly he'll be very happy with what he's picking up in this lane. And of course, the 2 assists as well don't hurt, so doing a good job in this lane. And that does mean that IFG have some problems they have to deal with. You can see Dreamy on the side looking interested
is about to die, yeah.
Oh yeah, Modace in trouble here. Only the 1 hit by the paralyzing cast, and that could be, in fact, does mean he's out of trouble. Let's get a cheeky stun off. And Santo actually in the fray here. He's picked up Invis Rune, and he's going to go straight onto Dreamy. And Dreamy is seeing quite a bit of damage. It won't be enough to bring him down. 1 more hit required. But he's healing up quite quickly, so Dreamy at the moment looking okay. Cloud going to use the Skeleton Walk to try pick up some distance on him, but I think Dreamy is going to be a-okay in the end, even though Shadow Fiend still looking a little interested. No, Santa going to back off towards the middle lane, and it does mean... I think it maybe been just a little bit of a communication error there. That didn't seem to be the case that we should have seen Witch Doctor just walk straight out of it, but in the end, looked a-okay.
Yeah, Santo definitely feeling the pressure for his team, picking up that early of a TP on a Shadow Fiend mid. That's not something you would normally ever do. Shadow Fiend doesn't really want to be anywhere except mid or in his jungle, and actually they're going to get a kill on Cloud top. 1 more right click is going to finish him off. But yeah, I mean, it was a good move actually by Santo, but he kind of messed it up. There's no way that he should have let the Witch Doctor get away there. He actually easily could have gotten 1 more right click. Or positioned himself a little bit further down to the left before starting to do stuff to the Witch Doctor and guaranteed the Witch Doctor couldn't get away. But, well, still, you know, A for effort, and at least maybe this will make Bravado think twice about being so aggressive in the top in the future, although I think more accurately they're just going to continue to be aggressive and hope not to get punished for it.
Yep, and unfortunately for IFG, I mean, they got to make those things count. You can't really allow those opportunities to go free against a side like Bravado. You can see a little bit of work being done by CH1 and the neutrals here, just being down on on a decent stack over here. He's going to get quite a bit of farm, something that Santa would love to do himself, and you can see there is a decent stack over here, which will provide him a little bit of catch-up, and I think he needs it at this point, because he has made that rotation. He's been jostling around for the runes as well, so he's sitting on 34 last hits, which is certainly not bad, but he's going to want a huge amount more just to become a real threat to the Bravado lineup. And bottom lane looks like there might be a little bit of action here. As Splendid goes on attack, we can silence stuff. Bodace is there with the Hex as well. Splendid takes quite a bit of damage here. There's the Impale as well. Splendid caught in the concrete. Should be able to blink out of this. Does blink out of it. Don't think damage from Skype should be enough. Able to turn around. Got a ball on him as well, so could be interested in finding a cross kill, but I don't think there's really enough in that lane to really threaten the iFG players.
Yeah, they just didn't quite have the damage. Clockwork could have actually stunned him, the Quap a bit longer by walking a little bit further forward, using the cogs to knock the Quap back. Then it would take him longer for her to be able to blink, but then he wouldn't have actually been able to be on top of her to do battery assault damage. And since he did max that instead of rocket, which I think is probably the correct decision, unfortunately, yeah, they just couldn't quite get it done. He is rotating towards mid now with that hook shot up. Windrunner, we'll have to see if she does go for a 4-staff this game, since there's a clock on the other team, but the ward has spotted him out, so this rotation's not going to get him anything, and iFG's still searching, but not finding. Santo, like I said, as I was kind of illustrating, he pretty much managed to stack 3 camps at once by using his illusions in the jungle here, which is going to allow him to continue to catch up on farm. Or not catch up, I mean, he's actually the farm leader. Let's take a look at net worth. Yeah, he's leading in that too, so maybe Rage Boss's prediction is going to be accurate that, they killed a clock. My bad. That Santo is going to go crazy, but Bravado still win.
Yeah, I mean, Santo is certainly a player that has been around for a while. He's certainly one of the players that need to shine in this matchup against Bravado to really cause a huge amount of threat to them. And fortunately, he is doing a fair job at just keeping his farm up. Does pick up that chainmail as well, so probably going to that mechanism. No real surprises there, as ETP is back towards the middle, and will... Yeah, Scan's probably not going to be too keen to engage in this. Scan has actually been... He's been a little bit quiet, but he's picked up quite a few levels at the moment. Level 4 already, which is pretty decent. If you look at the Skyrath mage, I think he's only on level 3, so Scan's doing quite good headway in that regard. But he is quite an aggressive player, very smart kind of guy. Likes to make some cheeky movements, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the not-too-distant future looking for something a little bit cheeky, and maybe finding an extra kill or two on the side of Bravado. But Atmosphere at the moment has lined up in the top lane. He's got that hook shot available to him, so would be very keen to make something happen. But it's a little bit of a hard kill. I mean, you do have the Chronosphere that can be used defensively, even potentially turn things around. You do have the Witch Doctor. He's just a smidgen away from level 6 at the moment. And could make things interesting if there's a good Chronosphere place just to disrupt any potential aggression here.
Yeah, the Witch Doctor also has that Immortal, which, in my opinion, is probably the best Immortal ever released. That's really, truly incredible item, and yeah, he's 8 experience away from having his ultimate, so he's just sitting back here. He's going to actually get it from this creep, which means they're probably going to look to get really aggressive now, and the line's actually shown where he is, so no. Oh, clock. Could actually hook. Yeah, no.
Oh!
Hesitation.
Yep, and that's really unfortunate because there were a lot of iFG players in this round. If they got a big fight into that one, maybe forced rotation. Could have been good news because at the moment, iFG is actually occupying only the top half of the map. And we do have a little bit of action here as Cloud gets dusted up here. And there's the Chronosphere. Catches Dreamy as well, so Cloud's going to be quite a while to be brought down here. There's the ulti coming through from Dreamy over. The stun goes on to Chosen, which means that Bodace is in trouble himself. And Bodace gets brought down as well. More support coming in the form of Atmosphere. Does get off that damage. Dreamy catches him in the cogs as well, and Dreamy should be brought down here at the very least, getting some damage that he can. But does look like there's some more Bravado players in this round as Splendid gets involved in this one. So got the blink available to him. Starts beaming down on Atmosphere, who gets time walked on, and Atmosphere will be brought down with a couple of right clicks. So Bravado, 3-for-1 shade, pick up 2 cores as well, and they're putting pressure on the middle lane. iFG have some really, really big questions they need to answer. They intend to compete in this matchup.
Yeah, Modeus just needed to evaluate that situation before he walked into it as the Lion. He knew that there was a Witch Doctor there because, like, obviously when the Clinks got chronoed, he saw both the heroes since one of them was in it, like, almost on top of the Clinks. So he needed to know that he needed to stun the Witch Doctor. Maybe he just didn't think the Witch Doctor would be level 6 already, but obviously it was blue lane. And speaking of Modeus, actually has Finger here. If he just gets some help, no, he's not going to get any help. And another hook shot with him.
Yeah, that's really not going to help their efforts here. Atmosphere needs to connect with these. I don't know how much. I mean, it would have had certainly added value to the fight, and as you mentioned, if you got a little bit of help, did have the finger available, could have potentially looked at picking off Splendid, which would have been a valuable trade for them. But at the moment, just seems IFG are looking pretty much outclassed at the moment. Chosen actually picks up the top tier 1 tower as well, so IFG really desperately need to find some sort of way in against Bravado, who are looking really good at the same time. They're making some good decisions, and although maybe IFG making things a little bit easier than it should be, they're certainly just snapping up all these opportunities.
Yeah, an 8k net worth lead at 12 minutes, that's almost insurmountable. I mean, I don't even know, like, Bravado have 3 greedy cores, but they're winning by a lot going into the mid game with 3 greedy cores, so it doesn't really matter anymore that they pick so greedily because they're getting away with it. And IFG, like, the bright point for their team is the Shadow Fiend with the mech, but like Shadow Fiend with mech, the advantage of him getting this mech so early, which is what Shadow Fiend does, is that like suddenly the enemy team can't fight you, which can be good for 2 reasons. Oh, Splendid in the mid, no ultimate from the Skywrath, so no real potential there, and this is gonna get turned around by Scan.
Yeah, you have a lot of damage coming to Stratus. He'll be brought down very cheaply in the end. And IFG once again in a lot of trouble. Bottom lane, at the very least, you have some damage coming out to CH1, but you might get the crossclear. There's the Chronosphere that's going to help his friend out. And now he turns his attention to Santo, who gets hit by the bash as well, trying to find that ultimate. Does get it off. Leaped through by Chosen, but Shadow Fiend picks up 1, picks up 2. Santo with the double kill, making something happen for IFG. A little bit of action towards middle lane, though, as Cloud is chasing down Dreamy, who's going to be helped out, in fact, by Splendid in the middle lane. Modace does get the stun off Splendid, though, not in a lot of trouble here, as it does have a blink available to him very soon. Pops out the ulti, actually, stands his ground and picks up the kill with the help of Dreamy, and that makes it 3 down on each side of the map. Tackle's taking quite a bit of damage here from that ulti by Dreamy, but nothing really to follow up, as Queen of Pain had pretty much backed off at that stage.
Well, I mean, that's like nice for IFG, but again, oh, well, there's the Blink Dagger that the Shadow Fiend just picked up, and the Silence misses a raise, should still get the kill with the Arcane Bolt. Oh no, if he got one more Arcane Bolt off there, Rocket's flying, misses. Well, Shadow Fiend shows his Blink, doesn't actually get anything with it. That should have been another sure kill. Santo is kind of like having flashes of brilliance in this game, playing pretty well at some points, like doing some very smart stuff, like the triple stacking, that fight bottom, etc. And then just like a couple times he's given away free kills, which, I mean, like 1 or 2 kills here or there, it's not going to change the game for IFG, but it certainly helps them at least like start the climb back into it. But again, it's, I mean, IFG gets some kills, but there's always another Bravado hero who's farming somewhere. And all of the Bravado cores are big threats with farm. So, I don't know. As I was saying, the Shadow Fiend, he gets a mech. It allows you to either 5-man, take enemy towers, or like just farm because the enemy team is afraid to fight against you. But I don't think they're even going to be that afraid. And actually, they're going to go for Roshan? No. Another
middle lane, Splendid taking quite a bit of damage in the middle lane. Does get hit by the raise wall. Can they finish off this time? Yes, they can. And that is a valuable kill there. 500 on the bank. Well, but nice shackle shot comes out of CH1. He's got the sword of Scancel as well. Dreamy drops the casket as well, but Atmosphere will be brought down. Modace trying to stand his ground, still getting hit by that cast though. Backing off to the loving hands of Santo, who's looking for anything to help his friends get back into this one. Modace gets pinged out, but Santo caught against a tree here. Scant should have magic missile available. Does. Gets another connection. Mech is being used though. Santo charging up, gets swapped out though, and he's going to have to back off. But Chosen actually very close by. Does he have the chrono? Does have the chrono. Santo now being taken down in the end. Nothing left in the tank of IFG as Bravado just look way too good at the moment.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, at the same time, Cloud does exert a little bit of slow push pressure. Almost takes down this tier 1 tower top, and I guess getting close to his medallion. Actually should have it. This is enough. No, is he going for blade mail? What? I'm a little bit confused right now. So I don't know exactly what all this stuff is for. I mean, normally this would be for a medallion. The Robe of the Magi, I guess, would be for an Orchid later. I thought he would basically just like get his medallion so that they can take Roche and throw in the Dire. They have SF, but I guess he opted against that. I don't know, maybe we'll still see the medallion out of him pretty soon here, or maybe he's just decided to skip it and go for the Orchid. Or he's
Bottom
going
lane,
for Blade
Splendid in trouble here. Gets stunned up by Modace and bursts down with his finger as well. they do find some action on the bottom lane. But as you mentioned, Link's opting for some interesting items. He's actually moving quite far forward. He's surrounded by Bravado as the CH1 does get the shackles, does get dust in him, does not, and nobody able to help him out there. So Cloud's going to be A-OK. But looks like there could be some more action here as Santo is towards the middle lane here. Got some friends coming in the form of Trekkles and the Skyth Mage. But also some Bravado players in the surrounds may be keen on getting something here. Looks like both sides going to back off for the meantime as Chosen just keeps the pressure on the top lane at the moment, slowly beating away at the creep waves, and he's going to have a world of company. TPs are coming in as Modest leading in charge, but there's a time work immediately, and Santo comes in with a blink, misses the first raise, or I think it was missed.
It was actually backtracked, yeah.
Okay. But yep, Chosen got splattered around him. Cloud just scouting out everything that's going on at the moment, and iFG just looks so unconvinced of going in and engaging this. Even though they're probably aware that it's not the full Bravado lineup in the surrounds, Chosen and Splendid can deal a massive amount of damage with the Sonic Wave, lining up very easily with Chronosphere. And they've got to be careful because Santo is still standing out at the moment, and Bravado is still interested in this. Chosen going to be a difficult one to catch because there is that blink, and there we see it flying through, but does connect in Santo all the way on the other side of the tree line. He'll be just fine. But look at the aggression of Bravado and just the sort of non-committal coming out of iFG at the moment. Just shows a very difficult story for any iFG fan.
Yeah, my carry player, who some South Africans at least would know who are watching this game, King, basically believes that once you start to play like this, which is basically like playing scared, that you pretty much have already lost the game anyway. So, I don't know, I guess iFG kind of need to just, like, we've got Santo. Santo is pretty good. And we can do something. I mean, the biggest thing is they need to take Roche. Like, that should give them the confidence to get back into this game. And they really need a medallion to do that. I don't understand why he would pick this up and not get it. Like, they could take Roche so easily with Klink's medallion plus the SF, and that really would be, like, their ticket back into this game. But instead, they just, yeah. I mean, they're making, like, these 5-man rotations for a one-man gank, which isn't really even happening. Yeah. And at the same time, Void is just getting bigger and bigger. I mean, I cannot believe the amount of farm that this offlane Void has. I mean, it was an offlane dual lane. But still, like, he's huge. I don't even know what he's going to go for next. I guess probably should go for DKB. But with these items, he can farm so quickly, and he's just continually taking the enemy jungle, so his own team can farm his jungle, or their jungle, which just allows them to be so much more efficient than iFG because iFG is so scared.
I think you make a very good point, Ari, and one of the things that Bravado can certainly be credited with is they use space incredibly well. You can see at the moment they look like they're putting pressure on, so it's not a great example. But during these engages of Cloud, this might be a little bit silly, Cloud. He does go in and he's going to get burst down. There's the ult coming out from Dreamy as well. Cloud survives for a little while longer, but is brought down all the same. And it's a free pick-off in the end, but Atmosphere is still keen. This engages on Dreamy as he gets a glimpse away from any further engagement. And Santo's still in the hunt at the moment. Looks like he's keen, but very low on mana, so I don't think he can do a huge amount here. It looks like they're going to have to settle for denying this tower. And just as I was saying, they may not have gotten the tower, but they did find a kill on the Klinks, which is still pretty valuable. And once again, you can see Bravado immediately just go back to using their space wall. CH1 in bottom lane, farming away. Going to start putting a lot of pressure on this tier 1 tower. Should actually bring it down. And slowly will, as there's nobody from iFG around. And once again, see Chosen in the bushes. With Splendid up in the top lane, just using the space really well.
Yeah, so I giggled a little bit to myself there because you said they were able to find a kill on the Klinks. But I would say they were gifted a kill on the Klinks because I don't really know exactly what he was thinking there. I guess he thought that his team would come in and help him, like that they would counter-initiate, and he was just a bait. But a good bait doesn't die, or at least doesn't die without getting something for his team, and that was definitely not the case. And as you talk about Brada using space well, they pick up a very early gem. The Venge actually bought it and gave it to the Witch Doctor, and the Witch Doctor already has a Glimmer Cape up, so he's pretty difficult to kill. And this is just going to allow them to take so much more map control. They should be able to get rid of all the wards, and actually, luckily enough, the Witch Doctor actually picked up an illusion rune, which obviously illusions do actually carry gem, so this makes it really easy for him to de-ward the entire map. And iFG, if they were scared before, now that they have absolutely zero vision, they've got to be twice as scared. And actually, the Witch Doctor's also scouted out this Ancient Stack, which admittedly, there's not really an easy way for Bravado to take this. I mean, you can see they're taking their own Ancient Stack right now, which, like, they're doing it with Scans Sonic, or not Sonic Wave, because it's nearby, but Wave of Terror. But, like, it's still kind of slow, so it's a little bit risky to go for it. Meanwhile,
Yep, bottom lane though, there is some action as CH1 gonna get caught out here, and he is silenced. A lot of damage coming out to him, should be enough to bring him down, is he enough to bring him down? And iFG finally finds something with these rotations. And it is a valuable player, but it doesn't feel like enough. I mean, they just, like, what does it matter if you pick up the Wind Ranger when Chosen and Splendid have just finished off a tasty Ancient stack and are barreling down middle lane?
So, where's Knoxville when you need him? Because this is a statistic I would like to see. This is, at least in my life, the first ever Blade Mail Clinks I have ever seen. He did, surely enough, make a Blade Mail. So there's that. Santo gets the top tier 1 tower. Blinks, is he going to get out of here? It does. Yeah. Void not committing to it. But yeah, so Blade Mail Clinks, that's the thing now.
I think I saw Psychic's having some connection issues earlier, but we do have a Psychic since again. So not Knoxville, but maybe he can find out some statistics based on Blade Mail Clinks for us. It is a really interesting one. I mean, I don't think you ever want to take huge amounts of damage as a Clinks, right? So, you know, you're not a particularly tanky hero. You do have your ultimate, of course, that makes life a little bit better for you. But you know, what are you going to do? Stand inside the Sonic Wave and hope for the best?
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not relying on that.
Who knows? Well, they're going to go for the Roche now. I mean, Santo alone is enough to make this go pretty quickly. Cloud doesn't have a lot of mana here, unfortunately, but he's getting bottled a little bit so that he can have a bit more. And it looks like they probably should get this, which is pretty big for them. Santo, I saw that he had an overflow earlier. I thought that was going to be going into BKB, but just going into the SNY instead. BKB not really excellent this game, even though I think it's pretty core on SF. Yeah, so yes, this is in fact the first ever in competitive Dota Blade Mail Clinks. So Cloud is trying to create a new meta, and I'm not sure how well that's going to work. But yeah, this is pretty big for Santo. I like the SNY actually more than I would have liked the BKB actually. I think it's pretty reasonable that he went for that. And yeah, with this, I mean, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with, but the Void has more than him, and I would say Void does more with farm than SF does. Maybe not yet. Like, at 23 minutes, I guess SF is probably, like, still the king of the hill, but not for much longer. And Void did go, indeed, for BKB. Once he gets, like, one more item after this, it's really going to be lights out for that SF. Like, the Void will be able to kill the SF inside Chrono, and at that point, SF kind of, like, I guess, isn't really the same hero that you wanted him to be.
Well, it's at least something. They do have that edge now, so we'll see what they can do with it. Santo is actually going to scout out Chosen here, but I don't think he can really do any sort of real threat to Chosen, as I think he's cheekily just going to... No, actually goes over, and Santo follows immediately, doing quite a bit of damage here. No tier 1 tower for one of his friends to TPG, so he does have quite a bit of space here. But Chosen going to pop that Mask of Madness and start moving back even further. I think Santo will be discouraged from any further aggression there. But he is the one player on the side. You have to give him credit. He's looking almost like he's playing for a completely different side. There's two games going on here at the moment. Santo's aggression, and iFG is just not quite really willing to commit to things, like, unless Cloud TPs, I guess, that's certainly committal.
Yeah, I mean, Santo... I'm not really allowed to phrase this the way that I would like to phrase it, but I feel like in that situation, he was just like, gosh darn it, guys, I've had enough of your stuff. Why can't we just kill this hero? There are 5 of us here. Look how far up he is playing. And he basically just, like, manned up in this Void so hard. It was really awesome to see that, actually. Like you said, Santo definitely not to be underestimated. He's playing really well, I mean, for the most part, despite the fact that his team is losing the game. And obviously, like I said, he's blown a couple kills, but still, like, I would say that he's definitely getting this job done. And who knows, maybe if you're another South African team, you're looking at this pretty favorably.
Oh, Santo actually scaring away Bravo. And there's a fine, you get the connection with the hook. Doesn't have the cogs immediately, but it is there now. Long range odds come from Santo. He gets brought all the way back in with a blink dagger, chasing off the Splendid, but he's going to be okay with the T1 tower behind him. And that does mean they get 2 very valuable kills there, actually. And probably can get some objective over this. I mean, they do have the glyph available to Bravado, but I don't think they can defend this tier 1 tower. Scan certainly doesn't think so. He looks for something in the bottom lane, but he's got Cloud with a double damage available, and he actually pops that Blade Mail. And now he'll follow Scan into the corner. Can he bring him down fast enough? One more hit? No!
It was so
Cloud
close.
not able to finish the job.
Yeah, I think maybe he should have waited till he had Strafe there. If he'd had Strafe, that would have been a guaranteed kill. He obviously used it in the mid-fight. I don't know, it's always tough to say in situations like that because you're afraid that he's going to go back. You have the DD, so he rated his damage a little bit higher. And I mean, it was a reasonable estimate anyway, since he was only 1 right-click away from actually finishing the Venge, and that 1 right-click was literally like less than a half second from hitting. But, yeah, a little bit of shame. It doesn't really matter too much. I mean, killing Venge, not killing Venge is pretty insignificant, although if Venge had died there, I guess she might not have picked up the Staff of Wizardry, which I guess would be for a Force Staff, and that would certainly be something. Cloud does finally pick up a Deso, so goes from getting an item which is pretty useless to an item which is pretty scary on flanks.
Yeah, fair comment. And they're going to use that item to bring down the stack. So actually got quite a bit out of this little phase. I mean, they're getting a nice bolstering the gold in this area here. Obviously picking up the T1 tower certainly doesn't hurt, and 2 important kills. And it does mean that, just looking at the net worth, it does mean that Santa's actually now leading the charge. So he's doing a very good job for his team in that regard. But then look what happens. It's the Faceless Void, the Wind Ranger, and the Queen of Pain. All the cores of Bravado exactly where you need them to be. And there's some space between their cores and the remaining IFG cores, which certainly will, I mean, on those sort of heroes, certainly is very, very useful. So we'll have to see what IFG can do here, but it does look like a little bit better from IFG. I've got to say, they've been, they haven't really shown much sort of prowess in this game so far, but if you actually look at the net worth, it's actually tipping a little bit back towards them now. So still a big mountain to climb, and once again, as Harry very eloquently pointed out, the Bravado cores are certainly not to be trifled with. So still a long way for them to go, but here we do have the engagement. Santo going on to Chosen. He does have the Chronos Field available. Dreamy is in this round, winding up the ult. He does get off. Chosen says, I'm going to take you down, Trackles, and starts beating down him. Almost leaves the kill, but returns back to Santo. Busy fighting with these very mobile heroes of Bravado. Splendid going to blink out after Cloud gets there, but Santo following up. I don't know if he's got the damage to actually bring him down. I think that this is going to be a very safe pop in the end. He blinks into the tree line, and at any moment will just TP out, or even wait it out a little bit and see if he can pick up some creeps. But IFG finally looking a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, the thing is, they just really need a Blink Dagger on Modeus. This double Bracer gaming thing, I just don't think it was the way to go. I mean, maybe get one Bracer. When you're doing pretty badly as a support, you usually want to pick up small items like this, since you can't count on getting to a big item. But without having that Blink disabled, they're just not able to bring down heroes like the Co-op, like the Windrunner. I mean, they were able to earlier, but I think at this point in the game, they just don't have enough burst damage, or the people have too much health for the amount of burst damage they have without being able to rely on those disables. And that's kind of why Bravado have been able to freely walk away with heroes a couple times, except for that obviously one excellent hook shot that we did have in the mid lane there. And Chosen One is going to look to, well, wanted to get a shackle there on someone, but saw there were a couple more heroes than he actually thought, and didn't really have the potential to get a solo pick off. It's a little unfortunate for him that he went for the Shadow Blade instead of a Blink Dagger, since they gave up that gem so early on. I wonder who is actually carrying the gem, though. Is it actually being carried? No. So they just dropped the gem? Yeah, I guess since they have all this
Dreamy is destroyed, but gets swapped back in by Scancel, and now they do look for the shackle and does connect, does pop that blade mill, though he's going to be okay, but Chosen back in this round looking interested. I think, yeah, Sentry just dropped pretty casually right in front of the creep wave. But I think they were anticipating that there might be a follow-up. But in the end, it will be just be a clean pick-off in the end. So, once again, IFG are finding little victories, but they have so many little victories they require. And once again, Bravado just using their space. Splendid up in this top lane. Is he finding farm? Obviously, Scansor going to find what he can in the middle lane. Of course, towards the Ancient Stack of Chosen, beating down that group as well. So a nice stat brought up by Psychics there. 67.2 win percentage for Bravado based on the current statistics. You know, it's not insurmountable, but a lot of work still to be done.
Yeah, it looks like probably setting up for a smoke here is Bravado. This is going to be a 4-man smoke, and the Void is going to be separate. I wonder what exactly they're planning to look for here. Well, they see Santo. Santo has a Scotty, so he's pretty tanky. But looks like... Oh, that was strange. I mean, they had swap. Oh, I guess was Kent not them? Did he walk? I mean, I don't know. Just like why they walked up like that. That was just weird. But looks like they're actually going to try to turn around now and Chosen. Yeah.
Looks like Chosen might turn around as well. Stun comes down to Santo. There's a little bit of trouble here, but doesn't look like Bravado too keen on committing on this just yet. They're going to let Santo walk all the way back, and playing pretty cautiously, and maybe rightly so. There were quite a few IFT players in the surrounds, as Santo very cheekily heads off towards the enemy jungle to see what he can find here. Actually looks like he's going to push out that bot lane, and we do have Cloud in the top lane as well doing what he can. He's got 3.2k on him as well, so making some good inroads into a new item. But Bravado clearly looking for a big objective as they are all grouped up here, and from watching these guys play for a long time, I can tell you they group up with intent. And it looks like the tier 2 tower is on the cards here at the moment.
Dire's
But they
middle
might
tower
actually
is under attack.
potentially be forced to trade
Radiant
this one to
structures
Santo
are
in the
fortified.
bottom lane here, looking for the tier 2 of his zone. And we do have
Dire's
Cloud
middle
also
tower
beating out
has
way on the
fallen.
top tower. But Scant
Radiant's bottom
starting to
tower
move towards
is
the
under
bottom lane.
attack.
Very well positioned here. Santo caught out. Chosen gets
Radiant's
the
bottom
chronosphere down.
tower
And
is
Santo
fallen.
taking a lot of damage. He's in a lot of trouble as C1 also gets involved. And they pick up a very valuable kill though. They did lose the tower for it, but got one of their own. And the top lane looks like Cloud might be able to bring it down. Is able to bring it down.
Radiant's
And
top
he'll
tower
have to
has
get out of there very
fallen.
quickly. Doesn't, in fact, does have skeleton walk available to him. They should be fine. But in the end, it's not the worst trade-off, I think, for iFG in their position. But Santo is a big ticket, and you don't want to lose him.
The bottom tower, let's see, was it... It was destroyed, actually, not denied, so I didn't actually look. But yeah, I would say that... Oh, that shackle could have been close. Overall, it was decent for iFG. I mean, they got 2 towers for 1. They lose the SF, who is the highest net worth in the game. So, I mean, ultimately, I think if iFG could take it back, they would. But, yeah, it was kind of the best they could get out of that situation because they knew that they couldn't fight Bravado 5 versus 5 mid. In order for iFG to win team fights, it really has to start on the back of kind of like a pick-off or just like a semi-messy engage brought on by the clock. If they ever just like walk into the enemy team, obviously they're going to lose because Bravado's lineup is much better at fighting in big organized fights.
Well, let's just go there. I mean, what really happened here? I mean, Bravado they look better than where they are at the moment. They've dropped a lot of net worth and experience to iFG, who really for a large portion of this game just seemed so defensive, so unsure of where they wanted to go. And now they're in with a fighting chance. I mean, it's got to be said, I really do think that Bravado are well poised for the victory here. I mean, just based on the fact that their carries are just going to offer quite a bit more, I feel, as the game progresses. But I mean, Harry, this is kind of your job. What do you think? This game goes late. Where do you think this is going to end up?
Yeah, I mean, of course, Void is like one of the best heroes in the game, if not maybe the best in really late games. I mean, he can get a refresher, and there's absolutely nothing IFG can do to deal with that when he has like BKB refresher. But I don't know. I mean, IFG showing some backbone here. I mean, basically it's been Santo, but a little bit Cloud as well. Finally starting to kick in on that Clinks now. Looks like he's going to be going for an MKB. To counter both the incoming Butterfly from the Void as well as obviously Windwalk from the Wind Ranger. So that's going to make it a little bit easier actually for IFG to get these kills. But yeah, I mean, Clinks is not an excellent late game carry. Shadow Fiend is also not an excellent late game carry. He's definitely much more of a mid game carry. I mean, he's fine late game. Obviously, you would take him over something like Leshrac even, but still, I mean, doesn't compare actually. I would say to, well, certainly not to Void. Probably not to Windrunner. Quap is kind of at the same level, I would say, as Shadow Fiend and Clinks, whereas she gets pretty scary, but the Quap has actually fallen off quite a bit in regards to farm. She hasn't really found a safe place to farm. We saw her die a couple times early on, and since then I guess she's kind of not really looked for farm as much as she could have, maybe. Although she does have 169 CS. Let me take a look at the overall last hits. Yeah, that's still 4th, slightly higher than the Clinks. Yeah, I mean, she'll be okay. She really needs to kind of like look to her next item. The VKB doesn't really do much for her other than preventing disables. And well, Lion is getting close to a blink finally, so I guess that is going to be somewhat relevant.
Well, looks like the game's going to go on just in time. But one last question I do have for you, Harry. As far as IFG go, what do you think their best opportunity here to sneak a victory in here would be?
To DDoS Bravado Blue.
I don't think that counts.
Okay. The problem is, like, there's not really a game plan that they can have because, well, alright, like, if they have to have a game plan, I guess it would be get the line of Blink Dagger and try to make a pick off, get Roshan, maybe get Roshan before Lion's Blink Dagger even, and then look to go from there. Ooh, there's actually a DD bottom. Oh. I guess they must have known or suspected that. Oh yeah, because actually they do have this ward, so yeah, they saw the Void in there. Okay, because I was gonna say that DD would actually be like the fastest rush ever for them. But yeah, I mean they need the blink on the Lion. They need to get pick off from there and maybe do something with it. They can't 5-man. This doesn't work. They can't keep farming because it doesn't really work either. So yeah, it's all about Roshan, Lion's Blink, and a pick off at this point. I would say that's like the game plan for them.
Well, we'll have to see if they can commit. Because we do have a little bit of a quiet passage of play here. Bravado look to be setting up themselves for Roshan. There's quite a few characters around here. Do spot out these wards. Is that in range of the second one? Is in range, so we'll pick up both of them here, getting their own vision back. But it is worth noting that there is the gem on Modest, so they would love to find him with the smoke gang. In fact, that they are popping at the moment, and things are coming out. They're going to see this ancient. No, they're going to actually go straight into the Roche. But well, let's see how the iFG players respond here, because Bravado are unusually quiet at the moment. Well positioned here with Dream just outside, keeping good vision, and it looks like it's going to be very quick and very free in the end. And it looks like Chosen wants a little bit more. Actually turns into the Ancients in the end as his friends have bailed out. But what it does mean is that one of the opportunities that Harry mentioned is no longer available to them. And it does mean that that is a pretty significant first nail, I would say, in the coffin of iFG. Maybe second one if you count just the early game, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's almost like sealing the game right there, to be honest. That was a really good move by Ravano. It doesn't really seal the game, but the thing is that, like, now iFG, I mean, they can still look for a pickoff, but even if they get a pickoff, they probably can't actually get anything out of it. Unless Bravado just fight extremely sloppily, like kind of running in one at a time into a fight. That would be the only way iFG can win a fight now. So, like, courier snipe by Santo. Santo is still
that was a lot of money as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, that actually had a lot on the courier. But again, like, there's an Aegis on Bravado, and all Bravado really need to do to win the game is just to farm anyway. So iFG have kind of put themselves into a really difficult position here, where, like, even though the courier was killed and obviously had a lot on it, Bravado, they're just going to keep farming, and they have the Aegis to protect that.
And it does obviously shut that door as well for a long time on iFG. It's a very fair point, Ari, because I can't imagine them getting huge amounts of objectives up without it. It's really just now a game of, well, maximize the space on the map and see what you can do. But it does look like Cloud's actually been spotted out as he passed over a sentry ward there. He actually can turn around and take it down himself. Looks like he's got the gem at the moment. Gonna do a little bit of farming as well, as Scant draws out a pretty interesting line towards the bottom lane. Everyone understands the lines, Harry, and we'll see what they do with it. As at the moment, I think he's actually cautioning where the other team might be traveling, as Dreamy is hiding out in the bushes at the moment. He's got a Clinks around him, so he's got to be careful. But it does look like Cloud's not aware of what's going on. He's going to back off. Unfortunately, he picks the right side of the line because there were some Bravado players charging down that direction. But Santo has a little bit of space in the top lane, but I get the feeling it's going to be a quiet little passage of play in the end.
Yeah, Santo's still maintaining the #1 position in net worth, farming quite well. But like I said, the items on the SF really start to have less of an impact than the items on the Wind Ranger or the Faceless Void. Oh, and Scant actually is going to get an easy swap in on here on Trackles.
Well, it looks like he's not going to commit anything just yet. Actually, he has to get out of there. I think it was the Eels, in fact, from Trackles that slowed things down there. Very fortunate for them. And also, Santo given an opportunity to beat down the tier 3 tower, but he actually gets caught up by the shackle by CH1, and TP Sport is coming in, so Santo going to be stunned up by Scant as well. He starts charging the ulti, can he get it off in time? Isn't able to do so, so then he gets the death hit, and it does mean that both Scant and CH1 will be perfectly fine, and pretty happy with a job well done in the end.
Yeah, so Santo, I mean, doing the best he can, trying to make space for his team by split pushing, does get the tier 3 tower to half health, so it's pretty good.
Oh, sorry, middle lane, Atmosphere in trouble here. Chosen engages him with the Chronosphere, and not a thing that Modest can do to help out. Well, there's 2 on the deck now, 5G. They did manage to pick up the, I want to say Dreamy Witch Doctor, but I don't think that's really enough to slow down IFG, and this actually would be a decent opportunity to maybe force buyback or just find additional objectives at the moment.
Yeah, so I'd wanted to talk about this before he actually used it, but he did use it, not a really big deal. So Lion does not go for the Blink Dagger, actually went for a Glimmer Cape instead, which I think it's pretty bad. But he's using it kind of for the same purpose. Why have a Blink Dagger when you can just Glimmer Cape in? But yeah, like now they really just can't get those disables off, and he used it there trying to help out the Clockwork, but obviously Chrono does actually reveal invisible heroes, so it didn't really do anything.
It looks like Bravado quite keen on the tracks are going to take quite a bit of damage on the Chosen, who does in fact drop the Aegis, but that was about to be reclaimed anyway, so good usage of it. We'll pick up both the racks as well in the middle lane, and IFG probably desperate to find something out of this. Atmosphere misses the shot, and by quite a bit in the end. And does mean that Cloud in the bottom lane got to be very careful. He's actually been caught out by Scancel, who doesn't have anything available, but he does have his friends. As CH1 gets a shackle, and Cloud's going to be brought down. Gem back in Bravado base. Caught by delivery clinks, if you will. And unfortunately for Cloud, I mean, I think he did what he had to in that position, but not going to work out for him at all in the end.
Scant is definitely playing a female character this game because he loves gems, having 2 of them, although has given up 1 of them. Yeah, that was like, it was a really good move there by iFG. What the plan was, or the call there, is like, we've actually done this to win more games than I would be proud to admit, but you're split pushing with a hero who can take buildings very quickly, and the enemy team just backs off from your base. So what you want your team to do is you want to cancel TPs and let the split pusher take the enemy base. And so that's what the Clockwork Hook was for, was to actually cancel the TPs, and if he'd been able to cancel TPs, like, I mean, in that situation, if he hits Hook and Modeus has a blink, Bravado, they could actually be in a fair amount of trouble there. I mean, like, iFG would at least take 1 lane of Rax, which would be huge. Like, that would be, like, basically their ability to equalize everything they just lost. But instead, Atmosphere, like, basically the story of the game, missing hook shots, and Modeus item choices not really very great, in my opinion. Like I kind of said when he got this, like, first of all, they lack the initiation, the ability to get the disables on the key heroes. And on top of that, I mean, like, you know there's going to be detection on Bravado because you have a Clinks. Oh, he's going to walk into Chosen.
Detection. Yeah, actually gets takes up immediately. Atmosphere called the Chronosphere. Foggy moving very quickly. The ult comes from Splendid as well. The Chosen going to be brought down. The Atmosphere pops the blade mail, goes in on back on this Splendid. Doesn't have BKB available. And Trackle's going to be able to shut down the Witch Doctor ulti on the side there. But Splendid not done just yet. Looking for a kill. Cloud now helping out. He's got Santa on the side. Splendid going to be brought down. There's actually big stuff for iFG at the moment. Did lose one of their calls, but taking down 2 of their own. And I think that's going to be the end of it as Dreamy gets away on the side. As, yeah, we just see the Bravado players pretty much dispersing and fleeing the scene. But Scant not quite out of the woodworks just yet, as Cloud is trying to find him. Gonna actually pick him up, knows he's there. Doesn't really want to commit. Actually picks up the neutral creep instead. And Scant going to be okay, but a little bit close to death there. He does have the Force Staff and the Magic Missile, so challenging kill to take down that situation, I guess.
Well, Void has buyback. That was completely on Void there. He had his BKB and he didn't use it. And he knew the Lion was there. And if you don't BKB and you don't get Lion in the Chrono, you know that Lion's going to hex you and then stun you. And the fact that the Skywrath is there actually meant that Cloud actually does manage to wrap the top tower. Is Skank going to be able to catch him? No, he's going to be outside range of swap. So, yeah, like, I mean, I understand sometimes you're hesitant to use your BKB, but if you're not going to use your BKB, then you shouldn't even be using Chrono, because even if you don't expect to die there, which, like I said, was really only because the Skywrath came, you're still got to know that your Chrono is not going to get a kill if you're going to spend the entire time disabled. So, yeah, definitely just needed to use BKB on the Void there, and then that would have been a very clean kill. Wouldn't have given IFG the space they just got with it. But instead, I mean, IFG continuing to show that they're still alive here. But it might end for Santo real soon here. I actually don't have enough to kill him with these 2 heroes, but they're going to go for it anyway. I think if he had actually gotten swapped in there, I mean, I guess it depends how far. I mean, Void, I guess, would have come, but Santo would have actually been able to man up against those 2, and since Corp doesn't really have much, she just has the Aghanims, I think Santo would actually be winning that fight with the amount of items he has.
Well, let's chat a little bit about Santo. I mean, he's picked up that travel now. He's got the Blink Dagger, so probably we'll see him swap out those power trades for something else. But what do you think his item progression should look like at this stage?
I mean, what items he should get next, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. He doesn't really have a lot of space left, but obviously, like you said, I mean, the treads he can get rid of, the mech he'll eventually get rid of. The next item for him probably needs to be an MKB. Oh, actually, action mid, though.
Oh yeah, Chosen changed down Modeus. Can he get off a Lucky Bash? Does get off a Lucky Bash. Modeus down, and 2 down for iFG, which does mean that Bravado have quite a nice opening here. Do see Santo and Cloud doing what they can do here in these side lanes, but Bravado could be able to pick up quite a bit out of this. Do see buybacks coming from the Skywrath Mage. Is that enough to discourage Bravado from going up the high ground is the question. I think they're aware of what's happening in these other lanes, saying, nah, this is not a fight we want, and they're going to back off for now. So between Cloud, Santo, and very, very timely buyback from Trackles, they do dissuade any further aggression. And I think just in time, because Roshan is probably going to be up around about the time that Lion's back up. In fact, almost identically as the time that Lion's back up. Just enough time to sort of waddle over there. So that might be something on the cards for both these teams to look at, and probably a very important point of this match.
So, back to Santo. He's going for Butterfly now, which is actually pretty bad, because the Void has actually already shown that he has a Demon Edge. So you've got to expect an MK Beast coming, and Butterfly's not the call anyway. Like, what you need really more than anything is actually just the damage yourself at this point. I mean, you've got a lot of items which give survivability. Scotty, Sanjin, Yasha, and Mech. Now you just need to hit harder. So like MKB is the very obvious first choice that he should be picking up. Even though Butterfly is normally such an amazing item on Shadow Fiend, MKB is definitely much better here against the Windrunner and the Void. And then after the MKB, he should probably be looking to go for an AC once he sells his Mech. His team honestly really needs one of those, and then eventually get rid of the Blink Dagger and get a BKB.
Hold on, Harry, because this is going to be big. All the players just leaving the rush, but they bring it down in time. That Santo leaves a cheese down, but doesn't pick up the Aegis. Winding up the ulti, Splendid taking quite a bit of damage from Master. Chosen taking a lot of damage as well, but it does manage to walk through the cross. The atmosphere on the sideline going to be brought down. The finger of death is there from Modace. He'll pick one up. Now Santo on the front foot here can't finish the job against CH1, but Modace comes in with a great double stun. Modace gets stunned up himself though. Cloud on the figure out trying to finish the job. Everybody just desperately trying to finish with the players. Santo trying to bring down the aggressive Dreamy with the ulti, but now Splendid on the back foot, and this is going to be a big fight for iFG, because at the very least they've got to get something out of this surely, but it looks like they're just going to the back to farming. I kind of feel like they're going to force a buyback or something. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe Santa reckons he can push down this lane fast enough, cause enough concern by Bravado, and I think that's a fair call. The lines have been drawn out. Harry, was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Harry drawing up the lines. But yeah, do have Santo on the high ground at the moment, trying to bring down this top barracks. This can equal things up, but Splendid gets in with the Hex. There's the ulti as well. Santo gonna try fight through the fortification. There is a buyback on the Witch Doctor as well. Santo turns onto Splendid, says, I still have this Aegis, I'm still interested. Dreamy though, gonna force him back, and Santo does get, I believe there's at least 2 buybacks, so some work done there. But Klink's actually brought around by CH1 on the low ground of the base there. So just when something was going right for them, in the end, Cloud, unfortunately being picked off, kind of changes things a little bit again.
Where was that mech drop? That's what I was wondering, actually. I guess Scarth put it somewhere in the base. It was on the courier. Did he put it in his stash? No. I mean, he just pinged it somewhere, because I was like, alright, the Shadow Fiend got rid of his mech when he had to pick up the Aegis. Where is the mech? But I don't know. I'm sure it's somewhere, though.
Looks like he denied it. We don't need this anymore, guys.
Maybe just like he pinged it, it was in the base, and then Santo sold it. Since actually he's got a fair amount more money now, that's probably the answer. But yeah, I mean, Santo once again just winning them team fights single-handedly, basically. Is Lion close? Yeah, so Lion does have a Blink Dagger now, actually, so that's amazing. That's like really good. I guess IFG have a chance still. Unfortunately, Clockwork still just doesn't like do anything at this point in the game. Like earlier, he could have been hitting hooks and actually having a pretty big impact. He did a couple times and actually usually won the fights when he hit hooks. Unfortunately, Clockwork falls off quite a bit as an offlaner. So now it's really going to be Modace's time to shine. I mean, Modace is level 16, level 3 finger with all those disables. Doesn't actually have enough mana, I don't think. Let me just check that real quick. 850. Yeah, doesn't actually have enough mana for all 3 of his spells. So actually, he needs to probably get some stats and less auras, because he's actually not going to be able to use Hex Stun and Finger. And especially not Glimmer Cape, unless he gets a little bit more stats. But I'm not sure he's actually considered that.
I know those feels. But unfortunately for him, he does have an opportunity here to start moving towards something else. But it's just such a long term. He's picked up Vladimir's offering, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, just assisting his teammate a little bit more. I mean, really performing that support role. But yeah, I was going to say I was a little bit scared for Santo that he actually went to the very far out, and could be some action. He's actually looking for, is on the hunt again, and they might actually catch some Cloud here, actually finding Splendid and Chosen. Not a fight he probably wants to take on by himself, but there's a smoked up team behind him, and they're still searching Cloud. Going to be the guy to keep eyes on their targets here, and they do go into Chosen. There's a Blink Dagger being used, and Chosen can be brought down. This is a big one. Splendid brought out as well. Gets brought back by Scant, but Scant will fall for it. No, pops a Ghost Step, going to survive a little longer, but Tracking will finish the job. Gem on the deck, and IFG all of a sudden with their tails up. Bravado, what's the buyback status like? Because that's pretty influential at this point. Do have buyback available on the Faceless Void, and that's pretty much imperative. But IFG got to make something of it. Once again, the pressure is on them to make sure that they get these buybacks out of Bravado. Start the rot, and IFG, from what was an incredibly sloppy start, got to be said, are playing like a completely different side.
Yeah. And Bravado making some mistakes of their own here. Like, the Quaff actually blinked into the stun from the...
Hold on top lane, Santo in trouble here. Gets caught up, there's the ult coming from Sven as well. Everybody just laying into him. Santo should be brought down, is brought down, does have the Aegis available to him though. Also has the Blink Dagger off cooldown, so he's got to get out of this one desperately. doesn't get the blink, actually winds up the LT, goes for it, but the BKB's there by CH1. Santos still in a lot of trouble here, trying to get out of here. Modace wants to help out his friend, but can he do enough? Turning onto Splendid, brings him down with the LT. Modace now in trouble, doesn't have anything available to him. Tries to use the Glimmer Cape, gets stunned up against the tree line, and Modace will be brought down as well now. So, really, not at all what iFG needed, and just as we were singing their praises for turning things around here, it looks like Bravado saying no, shut the door, and iFG now on the back foot.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, they were kind of like trying to do both lanes at once. Santo was top, getting their attention, Clinks was trying to get bottom, but instead they ended up just losing everyone. Modaeus had the opportunity, I think, to really shine there. Unfortunately, didn't quite get it done. And, yeah, I think the biggest thing now, though, is that this really highlights the fact that the Shadow Fiend needs to pick up a BKB. It was fine for him to skip the BKB for a little while because there was so much stuff that kind of ignored the BKB with the Clop ultimate, with the Faceless Floyd Chrono. But at this point, I mean, it's just Chrono that really matters now in terms of ignoring BKB. So Santo needs to get one, so that in situations like that, if he BKBs up and turns it around, it's very easy for him.
Oh, Chosen, hold on, he's in a little bit of trouble here, but pops the BKB. Interested in Trackles, but turns attention after he does have that blade armor up though, and it's going to dissuade a further aggression. Can he get out of the Death Ward? Can, but CH1 there, the last hit of concealed heal, and this is a problem for iFG now. They do have the Shadow Fiend up in a couple of seconds, so should be long enough to wait it out, but they do have one of their calls down, and Bravado once again have that big map control that they were looking for, and iFG have once again got to weather a storm, a cloud, looking for something. He does spot out Dreamy, but he's going to be super careful. He's brought down now. This would be a lot of trouble here. And the pingers are there. CH1 with his Shadow Blade. Going to walk straight around. Dreamy does have the gem. They're going to spot Cloud. He gets caught out. Cloud going to be brought down. This is tragic for IFG. Fuel Scepter being used defensively by Trackles, who's going to be brought down as well. The buyback is immediate by Cloud, but Bravado will be so happy with that little exchange. And looks like they're not done yet, as they do start looking towards this middle lane once more. They'll want to just easily rotate, one would imagine, because they... Yeah, and there it is. In fact, they're going to start moving towards the top lane, start looking to secure another tower. And at this point, Cloud really far too long away to be able to put any real pressure and bravado on those other lanes. But he seems to be keen all the same. Maybe going to look to pick up their... in fact, he can't. His ulti is in cooldown, so he's got to wait on that as Bravado starts storming down onto this top lane.
Where is that? Oh yeah, the Maelstrom still in the void. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, Santo's dropped back in. Santo going to be stunned up as well. This could be really bad. Chosen comes in. There's a close here. Santo explodes, but finally is brought down. Gudade's brought down on the side. Scancel should be brought down by Clouds. Immediate buyback from two of the IFG players though, as Splendid tries to get out of this one. Does blink away from the initial engagement here. Dreamy going to Glimmer Cape up, but Cloud still wants this. He's moving very quickly towards anything he can find. They desperately need it. It looks like Bravado going to escape pretty much unscathed at the moment. No, I lie. Chosen, caught out. This could be a big one. Time on the walk is so close to being available to him. Does he get off in time? Does get it off in time? No, he doesn't. Dies on the low ground. Big cooldown on that. No buyback. The game has changed, ladies and gentlemen, because all of a sudden, Santo and friends have a great opportunity here to make something on this line back in 35 seconds. What can they make happen? That's the question. Roshan, a little bit away still, and this game is turning out to be an insane matchup, which looked to be a completely different tale IFG have delivered, and what a pleasure it's been so far.
Yeah, so Santo did pick up that BKB like I said that he needed to. That's pretty good for him. The thing is, though, they're not going to get anything out of this because the lanes are too pushed up. I guess they're gonna maybe they get the tier 2 mid, which would already be not bad, but it's just they had so many buybacks that they just spent there. So Bravado, I mean, if they can weather the storm here, which basically just involves them kind of sitting back and allowing IFG to take a tier 2, no, not even going to take the tier 2, then they're just going to wait, and then they're going to have all their buybacks back. Let's see, yeah, that one will be, actually we can just do this conveniently. Yeah, they'll have all their buybacks again, and IFG are not going to have buybacks on all of their cores. That's a pretty scary situation to be in at this point in the game. I mean, when you go plus 50 minutes, buybacks are maybe the most important things on cores, and not having them, it could be so bad. That there's another thing that I wanted to talk about. So Skywrath actually, yeah, he did buy back there. Skywrath picking up a Ghost Scepter this game would be, I mean, sorry, not a Ghost Scepter, an Ethereal Blade, this game would actually be so huge for his team. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon. He was pretty close. He had like 2,700, but now after a death and a buyback, he's really so far away from that. Being able to blade someone who's shot in Chrono, like the SF or Cloud when he gets shackled, it's just so huge, and like there's never really going to be a better game than this one for that on Skywrath. But unfortunately, I don't know if he's ever going to get it this game.
Well, some good news though is that they did find a very nice route to bring down the big man Roshan, so they took him down in no time. And Sandro has picked up that Aegis. Cloud's holding onto the cheese. I kind of feel like Cloud needs to be able to not get Chrono though. If he gets caught in a Chrono, that cheese is going to be useless. He needs to have it. As you mentioned, the buybacks are not favoring the side of iFG at the moment. But, you know, Aegis and Cheese certainly help, and Santo is saying, I want this now, going down the middle lane with all the team. The lines are drawn with intent at the moment from iFG. They are really keen to make something happen here with this Aegis, putting the pressure onto Bravado. But, as you said, big buybacks could be exactly what Bravado are waiting for. Dreamy, very aggressive. Gets caught up by Atmosphere though. I don't know about this with Dreamy. Very deep, gets caught. Scant actually managed to save out his friend though, but it's going to come at the cost of the Atmosphere as well. So Scant doing a great amount of work there. Chronosphere on the side, catch up Trackles and low days. Cloud doing what he can. Can he bring down Chosen? Doesn't look like. Santo caught in a world of trouble here as well. Is he going to be brought down? Is brought down. Does have the Aegis failed with him as Cloud returns to the fray on the sideline here. Got to help out his friend. Ulti flies through. Santo pops up DKP, lines up, turns onto CH1, but isn't able to beat through that wind run, and now Cloud on the side doing what he can. Once again, as able to bring down some, it comes in the form of Scant, but I don't think it's enough, and they've used so much up here, they're going to have to back off surely. But Santo says he wants at least something out of his, turns his attention once again to the Bravado line. Dreamy now, going to go Scepter up. There's a Gloomy Cape as well, not going to take too much damage as he walks out of that one. As Splendid, does he have that sheep stick available? Does have it. Santo got to be very careful here, really toying with his life. Got to be set. TP Sword coming in as Splendid now brings forward. There's a sheep onto Santo. Santo in trouble. CH is there, and Santo goes into the tree line. This could be bad. The ulti flies through, but Klink's caught on the other side. Santo stands his ground, picks up one though, and this is some sort of opportunity to make something happen. Got to be said. Santo standing his ground in this middle lane, and it's him versus Dreamy, and that's not a fight Dreamy wants to take, but once again, there are a lot of buybacks available to Bravado, so not a huge amount of stress for them just yet. Santo would desperately, if he could just get one out of this, would be something, right?
Yeah, he's going to get the tier 2 tower at least. I mean, that's pretty good. He really needs lifesteal at this point. He needs lifesteal and he needs an MKB. I think probably going for lifesteal first is actually higher priority at this point. Getting that Satanic and then eventually selling the SNY for an MKB. I think is basically what needs to happen for him. There's not really any point for him to keep all this money, since it's still 2 minutes for his buyback, and with the rate at which he's farming, he should have that in no time at all. I mean, I guess they have the Vlads from the Lion, who actually finally does have enough mana to cast all his spells now.
Oh, Scant and Modace going to spot each other out. Scant's going to be able to limp out this one as a Froggy, but he's going to be careful because there is a very angry Santo in the top there. But Scant actually very cheeky, looks like he's still interested in this. Throws out the Wave of Terror, he's going to walk straight into Santo. Santo pops the BKB and starts dismantling Scant. The finger is going to pick it up to kill in the end. But he says, I want out of this area. And even though he did use up the BKB charge, it is all the way down to 8 seconds. But it's actually quite a new BKB, and there's that MKB, in fact, that you were talking about, bought straight out by the lovely courier. Yeah, I mean that's very useful. I mean, one of the big things we saw in the previous fight was the wind run being used very effectively by CH1, able to just prevent any damage from Santo, and that's no longer going to be the case, as he does now have the ability just to lash out at that Wind Ranger.
Yeah, like I said, I think I would have preferred to see the lifesteal first, just because it's so important for him to stay alive for a long time in this fight. I mean, the burst damage, the big right clicks do come from Klinks, but like you said, I mean, him not having MKB really does make it very difficult for him to man up against the Windrunner. The Windrunner was able to just Windrun and ult the SF, and the SF really couldn't do anything about it. Again, like I said, this was really why I felt that he needed to have gotten the MKB over the Butterfly in the first place. Although, it's so difficult to say that because maybe the Butterfly has helped him significantly at some point. I'm not so positive. I guess the Windrunner did never get an MKB. She actually went for crit instead, which I guess maybe she started building that before he got the Butterfly. That would be really the only reason I think he would do that. In that case, maybe it has saved his life to some extent. But anyway, I mean, he's still got a lot of ways to improve. Oh, actually, they're going to find Dreamy here.
Yeah, and this could be useful. He's going to just scamper out though, and they're not going to get too much of it. But oh, shot goes wide again. Chosen now, going to walk right on top of Cloud. I don't think he has any reveal here. Cloud knows it, and he's very emo. Daze comes in with the Hex. Chosen, this could be a really big pick-off here. They just can't seem to beat him down fast enough. Did that just happen, man?
Yeah.
But it isn't enough. Figure of Death going to get just completely removed. But now it's Bravado's turn to do what iFG did earlier in the match. Blended in the top lane, going to apply pressure. But a really, really important pick there. But can they force the buyback? Because that's still so imperative at this point. Santo knows it as well. He's heading straight towards the racks. The pings are coming out. But Splendid already on the tier 3. He should bring this down before there's any sort of response. You have Cloud there. He's going to try to force out. Pick up his own Scythe of Ice. But hold on. I think what lane's where the real action's at. As Modace goes in strong, gets the Hex. The ult is being laid down by Dreamy though. As Modace should fall here. Boom keeps up, but will be brought down all the same. But it does come at the expense of that Queen of Pain, as Cloud did the job he needed to do, but the engagement doesn't seem to be over here, as Trackles gets destroyed by the Bravado boys, and going to signal the retreat for Santo and Atmosphere, who probably would prefer to have left without that additional casualty. I think that may have been a swap in by Scant. Looks like that was the case. He does have that cooldown. And in the end, Dreddy just the tier 3 going down.
Yeah, so there was like overall a decent trade. It was 2 supports for a core, and they each traded tier 1 towers. Oh, wow. Could have actually just tried shackling Cloud there, I think. Cloud doesn't have detection, no?
Oh, this could be interesting. Cloud actually forced to use the BKB. Scant goes in, he knows he's close. But there's the return onto CH. They're going to pick this one up. Scant desperately wants to bring down Cloud. Does he have the skill walk available to him? Doesn't matter. Is there a gem? The swap's there. Doesn't matter. Scant able to bring down a very crucial kill. Should pay for with his life though. Uses the Ghost Scepter. Santo winds up the LT. Atmosphere gets involved in it too, and they're going to prop him off. 3 down on either side. That's 2 cores standing for iFG. They're just exchanging these kills so much, with either side really looking to be able to seal the deal here. And I think we're starting to look at the Roshan territory again, as the big man's not too far off. I think that could be a huge deciding moment for both these sides. So
what I'd wanted to say was that this trade would have been pretty decent for IFG, except for the fact that they lost the gem, but they just got a gem back by killing the Windrunner. So in the end, pretty excellent, actually. IFG gonna be pretty happy with the situation. I mean, they did lose the Clinks who didn't have buyback, but they didn't actually get punished for it at all. Like you said, Roche isn't actually up. Oh, Santo.
Bottom lane, Santo in a lot of trouble here. Gets hit by the Chronosphere. There's the ult from Dreamy as well. Santo should be brought down here, and that's a big pickle there. Interesting about where he's going for the moonshot as well, so looking at any way to just increase his damage output, but is it going to be enough? And that death certainly not going to help his chances. In fact, he does have buyback, but look how long he's down for. 110 seconds still. Bravado certainly can find something. In fact, Roshan might even be on the cards.
Yeah, we'll have to see how long the Roshan spawn is. If they do get a lucky early spawn, this could actually be quite bad. I mean, the forcing high ground is going to be a little bit more difficult. I guess they can go top. Does Windrunner actually have travels? She does have travels. And Scandius travels as well. Now, it looks like they're actually travels bottom. I'm surprised that they wouldn't go for top instead, since they've already got exposed racks there, but I guess they're thinking a little bit more about Roshan. But like I said, it is a long spawn, actually. Well, not a long spawn, medium spawn, but I mean, longer than they needed. It's going to be up just around the time that Santo is, so I'm not sure that they want to wait for this. I think it would be much better to try to force that buyback. The only risk they run is that because Chrono is down, they can't really fight, I guess, for the next 40 seconds. So I guess they're going to try to overlap the time when Chrono is back up with Santo not being down. Although now it looks like they're just going to go for it.
Oh, they caught out Cloud, CH. This could be a big one. But there we go. We spoke about it earlier, Harry. The Ethereal Blade is up, and Trackle is able to save his buddy. He got caught by that great Shackle. And Bravado look like they are taking it to them at the moment as they go up the high ground here. Just tier 3 towers, not meant for 60-win games. With Daze goes in very aggressive. He gets stunned up by Scancel. There's the engage by Chosen as well. Splinter goes with the Shiva's Guard, and immediate buyback by him. Looks like we will see the buyback of the Shadow Fiend as well, as Atmosphere goes in aggressively here. Pops up lane mail as well, as Splinter's going to have to be forced back here. As Bravado, are they still interested? Still have the Crows. You have to get Santo with it. This could be absolutely huge. But there is that Ethereal Blade, but he's going to pay with it for his own life as Trackle. But he did keep Santo up. On the sideline though, it's going to be Atmosphere going down to Dreamy's Death Ward as Cloud trying to stand his ground. They do not manage to bring down Chosen. Cloud gets brought down to one last hit. Santo now running for the heals. He can't be caught out here. Santo is caught out. Santo is down. Cloud back in the fray, though. Atmosphere back, gets shackled up immediately, though. He's going to be brought down as well, for sure, on this one. And just Cloud standing with the hopes of iFG, as it looks like Bravado will most likely seal the deal here. The rats are down, no real core buybacks available, and that means we will finally see Bravado find their way all the way to down. The GG is called. Cloud says his last goodnight. But what a game this turned out to be, Harry.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be as close as it was based on the start that Bravado had early on, but FG managed to not play completely terribly in the mid-game, and specifically Santo had a really stellar performance. Almost managed to bring it back for his team, but maybe in the next game, if they don't get behind so far in the laning phase, Santo might actually be able to win it, or iFG, and take this to a third game. We'll have to see.
Well, it certainly was a great game, and I would not mind seeing this go all the way to a best of 3 and to that third round. And iFG, I think, might play with a little bit more gusto coming into the early stages of this game. Hey, Bravado have certainly bled here, but stick around, guys, because there's some more DGL Premier action coming up immediately. My name is Halvard, and I was joined by Harry and Psychics for what was a great game of Dota. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.
Everything changes.
Life. Life.
Good evening, everyone, and a
Radiant
very big
team ban.
welcome from us in South Africa to the DGL Premier Division action between Bravado Gaming Blue and iFG.Tilt. My name is Hulbert, and I'm joined by Harry to take you through the second matchup after Bravado Gaming won the first in what eventually became a very
10
close affair.
seconds
Harry,
remaining.
welcome back to the cast.
Thank you. Good to be back. I feel a little bit bad though. I think Rage Boss should be your analyst
team ban.
over me. It seems that he has a better grasp on these two teams than I do. As has been pointed out, he perfectly called the outcome of the first game, Bravado Blue winning despite Santo having a really big game. I wonder if it's going to be the same here in the second game, or if IFG is going to be a little bit demoralized
10
after that
seconds
rather
remaining.
drawn-out defeat and not put up quite the same performance they did in the first
5
game.
seconds remaining.
It's going to be a very interesting one. I mean, there's certainly got to be some mind games going on here, in the sense that IFG,
Reserve
they're
time.
actually, I think this is their fourth, or in fact, this should be their fifth DGL
Radiant
matchup in a
team
row
pick.
now, after previously playing one of the other DGL sides, Noob, and which went the full way to the 3 games. So they've played a lot of Dota tonight. But the first matchup, they came out really not looking like the side they ended up playing as. And I kind of feel like if they can follow up on what they had, maybe we could see this go all the way to that third game. But Bravado Gaming also probably show, like, they'll have looked at this and gone, okay, where did this go wrong? Where were the surprises and
10
what do we need to do
seconds
to correct it? And do not underestimate what a smart side Bravado Gaming Blue is.
5 seconds
But yeah,
remaining.
without further ado, Harry, take us through the first bands and pick.
Dire team pick.
Wow, I was about to call the picks. Quap first pick, Winter Wyvern for Bravado, but they actually take Winter Wyvern over Quap. I'm not sure many teams would do that, especially because so Winter Wyvern is a pretty good hero. Obviously, his ultimate's quite nice, and the other skill that he has that's actually pretty significant for the rest of the game is obviously like his ice block. But the ice block is obviously pretty bad against magic damage, and you're basically giving away the Quap, which is an easy hero to finish off
10
ice
seconds
block heroes
remaining.
with. So yeah, I don't really know that I would necessarily make that call. I think I would definitely take the Quap, but actually going for the Lina instead. Lina is obviously
Dire
another hero
team
that's very
pick.
good against Winter Wyvern for the exact same reasons that the Quap is. I actually like to pick Lina a lot against Winter Wyvern. Normally Quap is banned, so that's why you kind of have to go for the Lina instead. But yeah, I mean, maybe we won't see Quap, maybe we will still see Quap. I mean, you can do Quap safe lane, Lina mid, or Lina safe lane, Quap mid. I mean, both these things are possible. You could also do some sort of an aggressive trial lane, or even just have Lina support. And also, now that Lina is picked up for
Radiant
Bravado, I would expect to
team
see Clock here. I mean, IFG prioritized Clock pretty heavily in the previous game, despite the fact that it didn't really have great hookshot targets. This game, obviously, much better hookshot target with the Lina already in the game. The only reason I think they might hesitate is just because, as we kind of pointed out, Atmosphere didn't have the best game ever, missed a lot of hook shots, and maybe they're not very confident, or he's not very confident in his Clockwork right now, which could potentially deter them from picking it. At the same time, there's also Quap still, but no, okay, well, we're
Radiant
just going to
team
ignore that
ban.
hero exists. That's fine.
What call?
Dire team ban.
Are you sure you're referring to the same game? But yeah, it's curious. I mean, I kind of got the feeling they might do something a little bit interesting with, pick up the Lina and the Quap. I mean, it seemed like such a solid pick. But yeah, fortunately, I don't have to make those calls. I just get to enjoy them. But Clockwork is actually banned out by IFG as a response, following up after that Tusk and Leshrak, which also was preceded by the Earthshaker and the Jarkle. Earthshaker, another one of my favorites. I'd see him go as well. You know how much I love the Wraith King. Too bad. But yeah, what do you think of these second sets of bans so far, Harry?
Well, Clockwork, I mean, IFG prioritized it. It seems like I was right that they just, I mean,
10
I guess they have
seconds
second
remaining.
pick actually after the ban, so maybe they
5
thought that Bravado would
seconds
take it, or
remaining.
maybe, like I said, they just weren't very comfortable in playing it again. Meanwhile, Bravado banning Wraith King,
Reserve time.
to me, this would indicate that we would see a Bloodseeker. Wraith King, generally one of the best counters against Bloodseeker, or one of the best carries to go up
Dire
against
team
Bloodseeker.
ban.
But Bloodseeker Lina is kind of a weird combo. I mean, Skywrath and Lina are both heroes who are based on bursting a single hero down rather than doing a large amount of AoE damage. And bursting a hero down isn't very good for Bloodseeker. Usually you'd rather have
10
kind of like
seconds
someone to set it
remaining.
up and then Bloodseeker knocks him down. Still, obviously, I think Bloodseeker is a good enough hero that it could be
5
worth picking up
seconds
regardless.
remaining.
So we'll have to see if that's the case, or if the Wraith King ban is more of just
Reserve time.
South Africans like Wraith King. And as we saw, the last game had a fair amount of messy fights. Wraith King's pretty good in these sort of situations, so it's possible it's that. The other hero that we did see banned last time, but potentially could come into this game, is actually the PL. Also worth mentioning is the fact that Shadow Fiend is actually still around.
Yeah, and gotta be said, I think if Prof was here, he would say how much more he prefers Shadowfiend on the Radiant side. So certainly an option for the IFG at the moment. We'll see if they go for it. I do know as well, just to follow up on the Wraith King comment, I know Cloud was playing Wraith King previously against Noob, so maybe a hero that IFG favor. Obviously, these sides would have played against each other in the past, and they probably know what sort of heroes they like to go to. Interesting to see the Visage come out here. It's one of those challenging heroes to play for all us, us people on our high pings that we generally get trying to play on the European servers. But of course, these are all on South African servers, so Visage certainly a very solid pickup here. And as Harry mentioned, it couples up very well with Drown. That puts IFG in an interesting position. What do you think they'll do here, Harry?
I don't know. I mean, PL is one answer. PL is generally considered to be one of the best carries to have to go up against Drow. I'm not sure that it actually will be Drow. I mean, Visage is a fine support anyway, and is also very good against Winter Wyvern. I actually picked Visage against Winter Wyvern quite a lot as well, exactly for the same reasons that I mentioned earlier. Usually a lot of damage is generated, then the person gets ice blocked, trying to save them when they're at low HP, and Visage can very easily finish them off with Soul Assumption, so it's very possible it's not Drow. The only reason I mentioned Drow is just because they already have the 3 range, or the 2 range, but it looks like IFG actually were so sure that Bravado were in fact going to take Drow that they actually took it themselves. I wonder if Scant actually was just taking this Visage, like I said, for the reasons involving Winter Wyvern, the fact that Visage is a fine hero, rather than actually to pick up the Drow, and thought that he would be able to force IFG into picking up a Drow, which is not really great for them. And then we've actually got a Viper coming out. Come on. I mean, Scant, you had such a beautiful draft before. Why would you have to go and ruin it with that?
I gotta say, I was loving the sort of mind games there. And interesting to see actually commit to that Drow Ranger. Viper's not one of those funny heroes to watch. I gotta say, though, another point though about this Drow, and why I kind of like the fact that Bravado forced this hand, this play, I guess, to some degree from IFG, is that there's a lot of heroes that can do a lot of damage to Drow early on. Sort of, I mean, Lina, Scarlet Mage, and Visage, both already high intensive damage heroes, a form of magic damage, and Drow is not really known for its survivability as far as being tanky goes, so really useful early on, and that Dazzle actually might be a little bit of a response to exactly that. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Harry?
I think IHG are definitely going to lose this game. I don't know. It's just, if I thought that they were going to lose before, after they picked Drow, I was sure that they were going to lose. They just don't have a Drow lineup. Like, usually when you have a Drow lineup, first of all, you want a ranged off lane, usually. Unless you have, like, maybe Clockwork. Obviously, Brood would be the most common one to pick, other than ranged. Like, usually, like, the best off lane to have, I would say, when you have a Drow lineup, is either, well, usually probably Phoenix or Puck, sometimes Windrunner. And they have none of those things. They're going to have to pick a ranged mid, obviously, but it's not even really going to win its lane because it's going to be up against a Viper. Like, don't really beat Viper. I mean, they can pick Razor, but Razor doesn't benefit from having Drow on the team at all. Furthermore, like, Drow is for a 5-man lineup, and yeah, Spirit Breaker, Winter Wyvern, not exactly 5-man heroes. I mean, yeah, they can kind of transition into it other than the Spirit Breaker. And the Spirit Breaker, I guess, can kind of force Bravado to not split push them too much, but I don't know. I just think the Drow pick was really bad. I think they should have just given Bravado the Drow if Bravado wanted it, and played around beating the Drow rather than trying to take it themselves. Unfortunately, I think this is probably going to cost them if they wouldn't have lost otherwise. The one thing that is worth mentioning, though, for Bravado's lineup is they have Skywrath, but they actually don't have any way to set up the Mystic Flare other than, like, Lina Stun. But Lina Stun, like, the only way you're going to guarantee, like, a Lina Stun on a single hero is if you have Yules, and if you're, like, using Yules plus Lina Stun on a single hero, Lina usually can kill that person anyway, so you don't really need the Mystic Flare. So I wonder if their last pick, which almost certainly is going to be an offlaner, will be some sort of a long-duration stun type hero. I mean, obviously Clock is out, doesn't really stun, but maybe something, I don't know if you pick Legion, but obviously, like, Centaur, who isn't picked very often anymore, could be pretty good here. No? Okay, so...
Radiant team.
Wow. Well, like I said, PL is very good against Drow, so I guess that's why they picked it, which this does kind of lead to some interestingness. I guess it's going to be Viper off lane and PL safe lane. That or it's aggressive tri lane. Visage is obviously good in an aggressive tri lane, but that either means that you have PL safe lane solo, who should lose to Spirit Breaker, or you're aggressive tri-laning with PL into Dazzle, which is also not very good, even though Drow is kind of like... I mean, I guess Bravado's lane... IFG's lane is pretty weak. They've got 2 defensive supports, not really any kill potential, so maybe you just aggressive tri-lane with, the PL and you feel comfortable with it anyway. I don't know. Kind of a little bit of a weird last pick from Bravado. Once again, showing an inclination to pick 3 greedy cores, but it worked for them last game, I guess, so why not go for it this game?
And why not go for a Santo Invoker? Let me tell you something. One of my favorite heroes in the game, if not my favorite, full stop. And Santo I've seen on more than one occasion playing a beautiful Invoker. So, regardless of who's playing, or rather what the draft looks like, I think this
Prepare
could
for
be
battle.
quite an exciting matchup. But let's go ahead and introduce the players and get this game underway. So we'll be on that Drow Ranger, Cloud, who played the offlane clock last matchup. Wasn't his finest performance, but he'll look to improve on that in this game. In fact, no, I've stand correct. Cloud, it was the Clinks. My apologies. Atmosphere was actually the offlane clock, and he'll be playing the Spirit Breaker over on the Winter Wave, and will be sealing Boob. Where Dace will be handling the Dazzle towards the middle lane. We will have Santo on that Invoker. Over to you, Harry, on the side of Bravado.
Yeah, so we do have the aggressive tri-lane with Chosen playing the Phantom Lancer. We've got Dreamy, who'll be supporting on Skywrath. And Scant will be supporting on the Visage. Oh.
I'm going to have to interrupt you because we do have an engagement here. Chosen going straight onto Cloud. Going very far in. Don't know if you realize how much was there, but Splendid and Co. are around to help out. Decent stun comes through by Splendid. Heal comes through though by moment Days as Dreamy slowly gets worn down. Will they be able to pick him up? They do pick him up and they will get the first blood. Splendid now might be in a little trouble, but a really great stun. But he's getting bashed around by Atmosphere. 2 in a row. Atmosphere picks up another. And now Scancel hugging the tree line here. Going to walk straight back into everyone in the end though, as Scancel once again the bashes are real.
Oh my god!
Again,
No!
down. How ridiculous. Atmosphere. You may not have hit many
4 hits, 4
shots in the
bashes.
previous
Yeah,
matchup.
exactly. That was actually 4 hits, 4 bashes. I mean, I was just about to say it before Scanted. So, I've got to interrupt you here because basically the way that iFG have decided they're going to win this game is because Atmosphere could not hit hook shots in the first game, but you cannot miss bashes. So, yeah, basically they've solved this riddle. To finish going over the bravado players, we do have Dreamy who'll be supporting on Skywrath. We've got, I already said Scant on Visage. We've got Splendid going mid on the Lina, and we do have Chosen 1 or CH1 who will be safe lane on the Viper. So, yeah, well, the early engagement works out quite well thanks to Atmosphere's bashes, and now he's going to head to the top lane where he's going to get crushed by a Viper. So, I don't know, maybe if he only hits bashes on the Viper, he can win this lane.
100% bash could be quite difficult even for Viper to deal with, but what an entertaining way to bash off the game. But yeah, hey, let's get into it. I'm gonna give a little shout out to a gentleman by the name of Powers who's been giving us some good feedback. So thanks, bud. Always nice to hear. But yeah, so I mean, obviously Viper pretty much wins lanes. CH1 should have absolutely no problem against Atmosphere here. But what do you think of the other lanes, and who you reckon will come out on top?
Well, I think that the Radiant safe lane tri-lane should definitely be favored over the Dire aggressive tri-lane here. The Dire doesn't really have a good way to get in on a hero. I mean, they can kind of try it, but not very successfully. And Dazzle's a very good defensive hero, and Cloud should inevitably just out-CS Chosen 1 and out-harass him, which we kind of see is going on now with a really big Shadow Wave coming out. So yeah, I think the safe lane should favor iFG. The mid, I mean, it should favor Lina, I guess, but I don't know, Santo played so well last game that I believe that he could beat Lina on Invoker. So it's really just going to come down to Atmosphere rotating. Like, he just needs to spend not too much time in this lane, and needs to kind of just charge other places as much as possible, because obviously, like, he can't get much up here.
I mean, one thing you should be able to do is stay within the XP range. I mean, at least until level 6, which is when Spirit Breaker would really like to start using that ulti as much as possible. So we'll see how it works out. And Santo actually takes quite a bit of damage from Splendid. It could be in trouble. And Light Strike Array not used, but it does have the Dragon's Stave available to him very soon. I think Santo is well aware of it though, as he backs off. But quite a bit of damage has indeed been dealt. Let's put on him. There's a little bit of tussling as Amude's gonna get some little cheap shots off onto Dreamy. And man, I'm sorry, I'm still just enjoying those bashes. Atmosphere, why aren't you doing more bashes? I mean, you gotta go charge around the map. Bottom lane, a little bit of damage comes out into Sealing Boob. He's gonna be okay though, as it's actually a really difficult lane for Bravado to take down early on. So, as you mentioned, I think they're going to be A-OK, and you can see even Modeus, who was a little bit, or actually maybe overstaying his welcome a little bit, starts looking for some right-click exchanges here, but got to be very, very careful. Does back off eventually, but getting quite low.
Yeah, so Santo at this point has not skilled Invoke yet at level 4. Don't usually think you want to do this on Invoker. I know this is kind of like a somewhat common thing. You don't get Invoke until 3 or 4, or 4 or 5 when you're expert
Santo in
Invoker.
trouble, actually.
He's fine. Can't kill him. He'd already used the Dragon Slave. Although now he has to be careful, because actually Dragon Slave here does kill him. Oh, just barely not. But yeah, so finally does grab Invoke at level 5. I don't know if that's necessarily the way you want to do it. Now Spirit Breaker's charging in. What is going on here? Well, baited out a TP, so success.
My micro win right there. Gonna move on the sports towards middle lane. 120, well, 100 gold lately. But you know, I actually kind of feel that iFG, the way to like stay in this game and become a real threat, is by just consistently sort of getting small victories. I mean, that's how they got back into the previous one. And they have actually forced quite a big rotation here because you have the Viper coming down here as well. Dave's going to be very careful as C1 starts going off with the slows, but he gets pushed back by Cloud, who seems to be still interested in this. As C move also goes on the offensive over Dreamy, says he'll accept this offering, and Cloud and CH1 actually having a little exchange here, but Cloud might be brought down. There's the Shadow Grave, perfect time by Days, but it's probably going to cost him his life, or does it? No, he's actually trying to turn around as Dreamy, but he'll be brought down all the same as CH. Not able to fill the kill, complete the kill on Cloud, who was brought down to really as low as it gets.
Okay, so
And
Santo
it
is
looks
really
like Santo
driving,
picked up the mid.
driving me crazy here. Like, okay, there we go. I was gonna say, switch to your cross orbs. Like, he's sitting there missing health, and it's not like he's contesting with anyone. But yeah, Atmosphere actually did charge mid, and his first attack after the charge was actually a bash. Maybe a second attack. Maybe he had one more attack before then. I'm not sure. I think it was actually his first attack. So managed to get another kill there, despite the fact that they weren't really quite on the same page. Santo had actually used some of his abilities a little bit earlier. And they've rotated the Viper down bottom, realizing that the PL wasn't getting much in this lane, although I guess, well, actually did a fair amount of CS. It was taking a lot of harassment, and I guess they just kind of wanted to get the Viper down here now. And
middle lane, Splendid in a little bit of trouble. Going to get hit by that EMP. I don't know if Santo's going to be able to complete the kill, though, but he's going to get really close. Stun comes out onto Santo, and Splendid changing things around. Who's going to get Splendid? Finishes the kill, but he's got to be careful because he's still in a little bit of trouble as we have us charging in Atmosphere. He's going to commit to this kill. Should connect. Does connect. Picks up the kill, but now Atmosphere got to get out of this one as Dreamy going to be coupled up. No, in fact, looks like they're going to abort. There was Scansor in this round, but looks like Atmosphere going to get away with it and almost got that level 6 up already. So as far as offlaning goes, not a huge amount of last hits, but 3-0-2 in 5 minutes. I think he'll take it, Harry.
yeah, the biggest problem for iFG at this point is that Cloud is still level 3. Usually, when you have a Drow, you really want to have the supports in the jungle or roaming or whatever as much as possible so that he can get level 6 as quickly as possible and really get that precision aura buff to his team maximized. But since he's had to share experience so much with his supports, because it's been Triline versus Triline, he's actually really late getting to level 6, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. Like, I mean, if he was level 6 here with this Viper coming down here, he could easily out-CS the Viper, despite the fact that Viper's already had such a good start. And he has to be very careful as well, because the Viper at some point here is going to look to use his ultimate on him and dive him. The most important thing that they can do, now that they have level 6 on the Spirit Breaker, is have the Spirit Breaker charge bottom and get a kill with that. There's a pretty nicely placed ward here, presumably by Scant, which actually will spot the charge pretty early if they're paying attention, as well as obviously the more typical side lane or side ward on the off lane.
Yeah, but it does look like the charge is actually going to be towards the top lane again, so really Atmosphere happy to just occupy some space there. He does have the PL to sort of you know, contend with, make him a little bit aware of a potential gang, but all the same, he actually commits to this, and he could find himself in a bit of trouble. Scansor is around, obviously the charge will be available soon, so not too scared. But once again, Bravado just seems to be doing quite a bit of work with their sports. We can see Dreamy in the bushes here, or Holden, they actually seem to engage with bottom as Modace does go on CH1, but I don't think they're going to get huge amounts out of this. Vibe doing a good job, but, well, Atmosphere charging in towards the middle lane, but there's a lot there. This could backfire quite badly if they're not careful. Atmosphere still commits to get caught up by the stun. There's the EMP coming through, but can they bring down Splendid at the very least? EMP flies through. Splendid should go down, does go down, and they turn their attention onto the sports, Dreamy and Scansor, who are in the surrounds, but the stun, things are turned around, like seeming to get destroyed. And Santo just got nothing left in the tank to help out. In fact, he's going to be a little bit careful because the supports from Bravado are still looking interested.
Yeah, so Atmosphere did once again get a first hit bash actually there. Just kind of, I guess, unfortunately I'm not that savvy, but I should have like a little bash counter that I update on the stream. If only I'd known, I would set it up ahead of time. But meanwhile, stage 1 actually going on Cloud at the bottom here, but there is going to be a TP in from Atmosphere.
Yeah, and they should be able to do enough to bring him down, but will it come across Cloud? There's the LT coming through by Atmosphere, but CH still standing his ground. He might even pick up the kill first, does pick it up first, and Atmosphere gonna complete the kill, but gotta say, that's probably a net win for Bravado, who would be quite happy to slow down the Drown Ranger and pick up the additional experience on their Viper.
So I talk a lot when I cast, well, when I've casted with you guys in the past about how small things make big differences. And Atmosphere has skilled his hero incorrectly. He's taken 2 points in Greater Bash and 4 points in Charge of Darkness, and you should always max Greater Bash before Charge of Darkness, because you actually get the Greater Bash when you charge anyway. Like, it's more significant than the little bit of extra speed you get from the charge and the slightly longer stuns that you get with Bash anyway. So if he had actually had max Greater Bash there instead of max Charge, they actually would have killed the Viper before Cloud died, because he obviously gets 2 Greater Bashes off in that fight, the first one when he charges and the second one when he uses his ultimate. And obviously I would say that the difference between those 2 Greater Bashes being significantly better, thanks to this being leveled up, easily outweigh the difference of the extra 0.8 second stun he gets from the charge. So yeah, it just goes to show that like every little thing you do does actually matter quite a bit. Meanwhile, mid Santo.
Yeah, we'll pick up a pretty easy kill in the end on this guy's mage. I was going to say, Harry, I totally agree with you, especially considering the fact that this man is bashing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you can perma-stun the entire team at this rate, just getting enough attack speed up. But actually looking like to be stalking CH1. There is an additional hero here, so they're trying to make space for Cloud, who really hasn't had a great time with things. That has picked up the power trades though, but a long way to go before he's going to be comfortable in his lane. He's sitting quite low down the pack as well as far as losses go. Certainly not where he wants to be, but fortunately for him, second place is at least going to that Santo Invoker, who's done quite a nice job in this lane middle. He's seen quite a bit of harassment from Dreamy at the moment, but he's pretty much dominated this lane in the end with some help from some support from Atmosphere himself.
Yeah, and obviously having the Drow Aura certainly doesn't hurt as an Invoker, especially Class Wax Invoker. Typically a hero has rather low damage. The extra little bit from the Drow Aura makes a big difference for this hero, and does allow him to have a little bit more dominance in the mid lane.
Oh, charge coming out to Scanto. Is it going to connect? No, it does not connect. Not even the tornado flying through by Santos in time does allow Scant the opportunity to just scamper back to base. But once we climb this bottom lane, yeah, you know I like my little play on words. Yeah, I'm just interested. Is this? Oh, there's a sentry ward placed that is just outside of the range of that ward, placed by Bravado. A little unfortunate for Santo at the moment. But yeah, Harry, I mean, this has been an incredibly exciting game. We are heading into the sort of 10-minute mark, so the laning phase should be coming to an end sooner than later. What are your thoughts? Who's got the advantage here going into the next stage?
Well, the net worth graph tells me Bravado Blue. My instincts would also tell me Bravado Blue. Just because the Drow's been shut down so hard early on, and Drow, it's like a timing hero, and the timing has really been delayed. Similarly, the Viper has gotten a fair amount, obviously, despite having to transition down to the bottom. The only one thing negative for Bravado, so like, okay, they're up by, well, hold that thought for a second, because Viper's going to dive Drow bottom.
Yeah, and there's Sword coming in, and Atmosphere going all the way down in CH1. Cancel should be brought down, and is. And now Atmosphere going to rely on those bashes. Gets another one off. Does have the ultimate available. Pulls CH1 back. Does have support coming in as well. Another bash coming through. Atmosphere is the king of this ability, apparently. As CH1 corner to corner will be brought down. And 4 people making their way towards the bottom of the lane. Do pick up 2 kills. Expensive rotations, but a lot better than losing Cloud, I guess.
Yeah, that was definitely excellent for iFG. Good reaction there, and at the same time, Santo gets another selectable mid. Lina is going to punish him for it, coming from the side with a Laguna Blade. But yeah, so I would say this favors Bravado. The only thing I was going to say is, though, despite the fact that they have a lead in the gold graph, basically that entire lead is invested in this Midas on Chosen, which is pretty much awful. I don't think you ever get Midas on PL, because you just farm so much faster by getting stat items. So just going for your Yasha, or your Diffusal, or even just your Travels, whatever, treads if you have to. It's almost always going to be better than picking up a Midas on this hero. Now, I guess, you know, we've kind of established that Bravado likes to play a later farming game, so it kind of makes sense that they would do this theoretically, but you're playing against a Drow. Now, I don't think that this iFG Drow is actually going to be the type of Drow which is going to punish them for this, but if they were playing like a real team, I would say, and they tried to go for a Midas on PL against Drow, I think they would really get punished for it.
A real team, Harry.
Yeah,
well, not showing love to iFG at all. Top lane is a little bit of action here as PL gets himself in a bit of trouble here. Santo beaming down Chosen. The charges as well. This should be enough, but great use of the doppelwalk right in time, but the double gang, excuse me, but it's not going to matter because Atmosphere is going to finish off the job with his ultimate in the strike. Good enough. And an important kill that Midas not helping him out there, Harry.
No, honestly, if he'd had another item, he probably doesn't survive there, let's be honest. Atmosphere, after using the ultimate, the Nether Strike, was going to get a bash on him immediately following. So I guess he wouldn't survive anyway, and based on that, the Midas actually is a little bit better. Especially since the Midas generates reliable gold rather than unreliable gold, so when he dies to the bashes, inevitably, he loses a little bit less.
Talking about Midas, do you have one coming out into Atmosphere here? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's excellent, actually. I'm a big fan of Midas on core Spearbreaker. I think it's definitely pretty much a core pickup, actually. I didn't mean to say core twice there. It's a little bit awkward, but yeah. No, I definitely like this a lot. And more attack speed, more bashes, right? I mean, with this guy.
I mean, it just allows him to get that what will be the first ever team ravage of Spearbreaker bashes. I mean, they didn't toss you up, they toss you to the side, but why not? Cloud's going to avoid a potential gank there as Bravado descend upon the opponent's bushes. And the top lane, though, it looks like we do have a bit of an offensive heading the way of Chosen. He's staying a little bit further back at the moment. Will he show himself becomes the next question. Does start peeking out. I think they would have got a vision of him, but Santa actually shows himself as well, so Chosen probably going to back off. And does exactly that, as we do see some support. It's going to come in the form of the Skyrath Mage Dreamy, making his way around. Should run into Atmosphere. Atmosphere actually spots him up with that ward, so he's going to engage it. No doubt there'll be another bash coming through, but it's actually going to be the Nether Strike first, as Dreamy gets smashed away. And of course, surprise, surprise, the bash is real.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, like, I'm just like a little bit shocked when it happens each time, but I really shouldn't be at this point. I mean, there it wasn't as unlikely as in the beginning, but still, I mean, he only had 2 hits outside of Charge and Nether Strike, and one of the 2 of those was a bash. It's still obviously defying the odds. At the same time, Viper down the bottom basically has his mech done after taking out that tower, so that's going to be pretty good. It's going to make it pretty easy for, well, not actually that easy for Bravado to fight, but easier for Bravado to fight against this iFG push, which is inevitably coming with the Drow, and I mean, they're taking objectives now. This is what this lineup does, and they're doing it pretty successfully. There's one other thing I wanted to point out. So after the last game, where we saw one of the best, what I said is, in my opinion, the best looking Immortal of all time, or not maybe the best looking, but the coolest Immortal of all time with the Witch Doctor Coconut, we now have one of the, if not the ugliest, well, it can't be the ugliest because we've got the, like, anti-mage bashes and stuff like that, but this hideous Immortal for Seneca.
Well, that hideous Immortal going to work at the moment. Scan's been put him up by the EMP and exploded with it. And Atmosphere says, I want more, goes on to Dreamy. The Laguna Blade background, but Dreamy going to be bashed away. No, the Eels is there from Splendid to help out his friend, but now caught out in that ultimate right. And will slowly bring him down, but Chosen in the fray as well. What can he offer here? He's heading back, he's got support of CH1 on the side, looking to take down Simu. Does drop the ulti as well, absolutely very low, will be brought on. Santo now in a lot of trouble. Try and get out, they're going to start tipping away. Can he get out fast enough? Nope, because Visage says no. And that's going to be a pretty solid little defense there by Bravado. And one has to ask, what was iFG doing behind a tier 2 tower at 16 minutes?
One has to ask Santo, why didn't you just invoke Ghost Walk and walk away, since there was no detection, and he actually had Invoke up for many seconds there. Does he not remember how Invoker works? I mean, he hasn't invoked it yet this game, obviously, because he hasn't really needed to use Elspeth on the front foot, so maybe he just forgot that he can make that ability. Like, I don't really understand what his thought process was there. I'm pretty sure that was just a bit of a brain fart. But, yeah. I don't know. He's had a few mistakes this game. Like I said, in the previous game he had made a few mistakes, but overall played quite well. It's basically been the same thing here. There's just been a couple times where I've been like, oh, Santa, come on. But at the same time, I mean, he's really the glue that's keeping this team together. Well, that and admittedly Atmosphere's bashes. But iFG, I mean, they lose a little bit there. Like you said, they went a little bit too far, but they're going to all respawn, and hopefully then they're going to be like, okay, so this is an objective-based lineup. Let's focus on the objectives next time, and let's just start pushing, and that's what they're going to do.
Fair comment. We'll have to see where they do decide to go push. Do you have that ulti available once more on Atmosphere? He's loved to use it, and I think he has put out Splendid. Splendid, a very hard target to bring down, though, with the charge, since he does have the Ul Scepter available to him, walk straight out of it. But there's certainly going to be some heads popping up sooner or later. It looks like they're actually going for the Roshan, so that is certainly a decent objective. They do, in fact, have the medallion up on Modase as well, but it looks like Bravado is aware of this. They're starting to zone in at the moment. There is that Well, Santo going to pick up a couple with the tornado here. Drops the MP as well. CH going to turn around. Doesn't have mana for mechanism, so he was brought down as the Santo is cut by one of the familiar scans on the sideline. Doing quite a bit of damage to Cloud. Cloud in quite a bit of trouble here. Will they be able to bring him down? There's the ulti from Sky. It's going to be enough to bring him down as Ceiling Move now on the other side managed to walk out of the one stun right through as Santo in quite a bit of trouble. Gets brought down by the Laguna Blade. Charge comes through by Atmosphere. Going to get stunned both of the Bravado players remaining, and Atmosphere going to pay for his... No, in fact, survives in the end. No Visage familiar around, and Roshan's going to survive this engagement pretty happily as both teams dropped 3, I believe.
Yeah, so, well, the Visage Familiars were there, but they just didn't have drops back up since Scans had already used them. Actually placed them quite well in that fight. Yeah, the fight was pretty much just predicated on the fact that Modeus was the first one initiated on. I mean, the fight happened in 2 places at once, but you really want to have Dazzle behind your team, not out in the front getting caught, and because of that, they ended up losing the fight. Although, I mean, well, losing the fight, I mean, it was a 3 for 3, but you can't afford to have even fights even when you have a draw lineup, because, like, the clock is ticking against you, and you need to be able to get as much as you can while you have this early advantage that the draw provides you. And so every time you take even fights, you're actually losing, and that's exactly what happened here, although Santo, unconventional. I mean, this is definitely a pub star Invoker build, for sure.
Radiant's top tower
You know,
is
I
under
was
attack.
literally just looking at that Maelstrom and thinking to myself,
Radiant structures are
that's interesting.
fortified.
Do you see a charge coming through by the Spirit Breaker? He's caught out Chosen, who is going to be engaging it, does use that double ganger, but he's going to get caught out all the same. EMP's there as well, the ulti should be available. No, but he's been silenced up. I don't think he can complete this kill. Still looking for it. Nope, they're going to back off a scant. TP's onto the low ground and dissuade any further aggression from the iFG team.
Yeah, Santo really messed that one up, actually. Just used the tornado and actually disrupted the the stun from the Spirit Breaker. The Spirit Breaker actually would have been able to control the PL, and they would have easily been able to get the kill if he actually hadn't used tornado, but instead used it. And unfortunately, that ended up costing them a pretty important kill on the PL, because after that, they would have easily pushed the tier 2 mid. Instead, they're actually getting pushed back themselves now, and Skywrath would like a kill on Santo, but Santo's just a little bit too fast for that to happen.
Gotta say, I'm going to create one thing with Santo. I mean, we spoke about that tornado certainly was not spot on, but what I quite liked is he keeps disengaging from these fights really consistently. Obviously, Viper really, his eyes lit up as he saw an opportunity to engage there. You can see Dreamy also involved, but the tornado right at the correct time. But Santo actually walking past, I think that's just Sentry Water. It's just Sentry Water, and I hear the charge. It's going to be on top this time. Chosen. They're going to wait this one out. Tornado flies through early this time. There's the EMP as well. Chosen going to use top gang once again. Great work there, but they have to put out the right one. Chosen going to be brought down for free here, and these gangs are working out quite nicely overall. As Atmosphere just looks like a completely different player. 8-2-8. We've got to give him a lot of credit for coming back after a disappointing Clockwork game.
Yeah, another charge coming out.
Yeah, and it's going to find Splendid. Where's the bash? Of course, Dragon and silence up. Defensive fuels being used by Splendid as reducing the weave being tossed down by Modeus. Another tornado flies through and Splendid should be eventually brought down. And there's scanting what he can with those familiars. But CH and Dream going to have to back off here. Santo drops the drums. Looks like he's still interested. Dream takes quite a bit of damage. But unfortunately for him, Santo doesn't seem to have the same luck with his Maelstrom procs as Atmosphere does with his Greater Bash.
Yeah, Atmosphere also doesn't seem to know that he can actually activate Empowering Haste. I've watched him a few times, and he's actually never used it. So I'm not sure if he's just not aware of that change or not. Typically, you like to use that every time when you're about to hit the enemy hero with the charge, so that you get a little bit more guaranteed damage with Smash. Scant, gonna try something cheeky here with Reverse. He's gonna try to deny the Aegis. No, looks like, I don't know exactly what he wanted to do there. But doesn't get anything out of it. And IFG are continuing to possibly pick up the momentum they need to win this game in the mid-game. They've got the Aegis now. They did give it to Drow instead of Santo. I think I probably would have given it to Santo myself, but I guess you want Drow to be able to stay on the front lines and hit towers, so it kind of makes sense. And they're going to get an easy tier 2 mid and probably a tier 2 bottom. I hope they go for that before going for high ground. And yeah, also, I would like to say, Chosen actually is really getting punished for this greedy build.
Dire's middle tower has
I think that's a pretty fair point. I mean, the aggression that IFG played in this game, it looks like a completely different side. First matchup, they just seemed, completely lackluster in their aggression early on, and they've really picked up the tempo here, which is doing a lot for them. And as you mentioned, that minus not really working out. I mean, the net worth is now being topped by that Santo Invoker, so minus not working out against just as far as that goes either. And looks like there's going to be another tier 2. I mean, the objectives are falling very quickly for Bravado, but I still think the tier 3s are a completely different story, right? There's going to be much more challenging to go up the ramp, but looks like iFG don't care. They do exactly that. Santa on the high ground there. You have the age available. Familiar Stomp is there. Santa going to be caught out by that Spirit Lance as well, but looks like that'll be the end of that initial tussle, but iFG still persist in this bottom lane at the moment. Splendid doing what he can to try to slow things. EMP just dropped right on top of the tower. Gonna force back the Bravado players for a little while, but now it looks like engaged there. Scant, no, thought about it, but backed off all the same. Bravado happy to stay up the high ground for the meanwhile.
Yeah, they're getting the chip damage down. I'm a little bit surprised Cloud didn't walk up on the high ground the first time when they used the ice block on the creep. Since he has the Aegis, he doesn't need to be too afraid of going up there, and especially since they had Weave plus Medallion on him. But no, they're just playing it as careful as possible.
Yeah, there we go. The fight's broken out. The atmosphere going on spin on the high ground. CH1 though being damaged heavily here and could be brought down. EMP is going to hit right in the middle. Doesn't connect. Not really, as atmosphere really deep, maybe too deep. Does get hit by
Bottom tower has fallen.
excuse me. By Shadow Grave from a daze. It does mean he's survives a little bit longer, but waited a little bit longer than that team. Cloud's going to TP out right underneath the Bravado lineup, as looks like iFG going to have to settle for the tier 3, but that is a fairly decent objective for just the Spirit Breaker in the end.
Yeah, pretty bad team fight. Well, pretty awful team fight, to be perfectly honest, for iFG there. Oh, and actually maybe gonna get caught here. Scant is blooming with the birds. He's got some backup with Chosen. Chosen is coming.
Yeah, and Tornado will fly through, slow things down. Splendid though still looks interested here. You see Sander popping drums, he wants out, does get the illusion rune as well, turns it onto Splendid. He'll be happy to just to beat them down himself, but Sealing Move is there, doesn't have his ulti available, so it looks like that'll be the end of that tussle. The Bravado now look to get an objective of his own. A lot of players just sort of circling the middle lane though. It looks like some of them back, in fact all of them backing off now, so I'm not too keen on trying to push for this tier 1 tower, as IFG certainly have the sort of advantage in these team fights early on, but I guess they've been really doing so on the back of these pickles, and they'll probably look to get another one before they really try to press on too much harder. But Roshan is also, in fact, Roshan is a long way away.
Still has the Aegis.
No.
But yeah, so that team fight, like I said, quite awful. The Winter Riven used the ultimate on just a Viper up high ground, like by himself. Like they couldn't really kill this hero, although then it turned out they actually could, just because the right click from Drow is that heavy. Except the Atmosphere Spirit Breaker actually used Nether Strike on the Lina instead of the Viper. If they'd used it on the Viper goes down easily. Instead, they like kind of split damage, don't kill anyone. And then Winter Riven actually could have ice blocked the Spirit Breaker, but didn't. And yeah.
Well, looks like Cloud this time going in very aggressively. Dreamy takes quite a bit of damage from that initial tussle here, and looks like they're focusing down the range tracks in the meantime. Do you see the Lagoon there coming out? Santa's gonna have to back up, tosses through the Tornado though. Atmosphere right in the thick of things, not able to get up an ulti. Takes a lot of damage from Dreamy himself. A Splendid forced back by Cloud, who's happy on the high ground now, but he does have to be careful. The Aegis is gonna pop, tries to Shadow Blade away, does manage to do so, as they do pick up Dreamy, which is pretty handy. That was a Sunstrike? That seemed to be quite a far away. The Spirit Lance flies through onto Aduza. Still got the Aegis available. That Rax is down now as well, as we've cast up onto the IFG guys. Cloud, got to be a little bit careful here. Does get stunned up, going to lose the Aegis, but he's happy with that. Still on the front lines though, as they look to try to take down this meaty barracks. Phantom Lance is doing what he can, as you see quite a few wards drop there. No stun connecting there from Splendid. And it's probably a great opportunity here. Santa and Cloud staying right on top of each other, and that's not great when you have Alina around, as Atmosphere waits for some heals on the back line. You have all the Bravado players up. Will IFG be satisfied with what they've got so far?
The problem is they can't be satisfied with it. They needed to get racks there. Like, I've heard other casters before, like, talk about having a timing of like 25 minutes. You need to have the first racks of the Drow. I don't think in specific numbers like that, but I think it's like a good way of looking at it, kind of, or a good point of making, which is that you have to get racks by a certain time for this lineup to work. And they almost got it. They didn't quite. I'm pretty sure they could have got it if they'd executed a little bit better there, but you've got to hand it to Bravado. They're doing a really good job to deal with a difficult situation. I mean, it's the worst having to face a 5-man Drow lineup, and Bravado did a very good job of not committing too much, not clumping up so they could get easily punished by the Winter Riven ultimate, and keeping IFG off of the high ground. So far they've managed. The question is, can IFG get that Rax and maybe one more within the next 8 minutes or so, or is Drow truly going to end up falling off here? despite the fact that Santo has gone for a little bit more of a late game build. Also, this was a kind of interesting thing. I mean, it's a little bit better now that she actually went for the Silver Edge, but I couldn't actually believe that the Drow had actually gone for a
Shadowblade.
yeah, Shadowblade, yeah. Sorry. It just blanked me for a second because I was thinking about all the other thing, or like a bunch of other things at the same time. But yeah, like this is very much a pub thing. Like when you're 5-man pushing, Shadowblade doesn't do anything for you. But in the end, the Silver Edge kind of does have an application, obviously. I mean, it's pretty good against PL, it's quite good against Viper, so I guess that's the reason they did it. And on top of that, because she disassembled, she can get a Manta as well. And Manta is actually quite excellent in Drow.
Yeah, very fair comments. And I've got to say, this is looking like a really good. I mean, you make the point about the 25-minute racks, but it does set up quite nicely for this game because we did see how well iFG contested towards the later stages of the previous matchup. So I think there's a huge amount of Dota still to be played here. I don't think this game's going to be over anytime soon, but iFG certainly still have their tails. I've seen the tornado flying through very aggressively by Santo, who's pretty much on his own here. He's got to be careful. And Chosen going to toss out the Spirit Locks. Will do some damage to him as he does seem to have picked up his Diffuser's Blade as well now.
The problem is just that, like, the game is going to go on for a long time still, but at some point it's going to be too difficult to deal with the PL for the Drow and the Invoker. Like, this is why the Invoker went for Mjolnir, or Maelstrom and then Mjolnir. It's so that he could deal with illusions and also, like, farm and push and do all these things, but, like, it's not enough. I mean, like, just because you have an Invoker who has a Mjolnir, you're not going to suddenly be able to actually beat PL. Like, one Mjolnir does not beat PL, and they don't really have anything else to deal with him. Drow obviously is exceptionally single target, so the thing is, like, if the game does go on for a long time, at some point, especially since it's a Midas PL, the PL is just going to be too much, and that's kind of the reason why I'm a little bit afraid for iFG here, because, like, I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest, just like you, I would really love to see this go to a Game 3, just so that I could have a little bit more Dota. But, I mean, it's not over for iFG yet. They're going to look for the next Roshan. Once they get the next Roshan, they need to use that Aegis to get 2 lanes of Rax, I would say. If they get 2 lanes of Rax, they win the game. If they get just the 1 lane of Rax, they probably don't lose the game. If they don't get any lanes, if they don't get this next Aegis, well, yeah, if they don't get the next Aegis, I would say they lose for sure. If they don't get the next Aegis and at least 1 lane of Rax, they probably lose.
Well, the clock is certainly ticking for them. Bravado, though, not able to commit with that smoke gang. I did see Nice Tornado just disrupting the potential engagement there from Splendid, who it's a bit like a bit of an up and down game for him. He seems to be the brunt of a lot of the aggression coming out from iFG at the moment. But there is still both sides just waiting out this Roshan. You can see Scant just patrolling this area with his familiars. Do you see, there we go, 2 minutes until the big man's back up on the stage, and then one would imagine this game will pick up in many, many ways. Cloud, also sitting on 2.7k, so he's got quite a bit of cash to spare at the moment. He is third on the net worth chart, which is pretty handy for Bravado. But as mentioned, he's got to get a little bit. It's now. He's got to make it count. I mean, when this next restaurant comes up, it's going to be a very critical time of this game for both sides. And I got to say, I love when you get all 5 players in this little choke point and get a big fight. It was great to watch, and we'll see very soon how it all pans out.
Yeah, so he does have his Manta finished now. I mean, he's got the recipe on the courier. He's just going to pick up the Ultimate Orb from the Secret Shop. This is going to be good timing to have his Manta because, like we said, there is going to be another fight very soon here. Although it is a very long Roshan spawn. And the Manta is obviously going to allow him to fight a little bit better. At the same time, the Invoker went for another kind of, like, not all in, but, like, we need to fight now, we need to win now item in the BKB. Not typically something you want to have to get as your first or second item on an Invoker, but obviously it is very good, and it is exceptionally good against Bravado Black's lineup here. Or Bravado Blue. Just that their back of their logo looks black, so to me, I almost see them as being black. Oh, yeah, gets one of the birds. That's actually pretty big. No, Visage does have resummons. Visage also not going for the Aghanim's, actually. It looks like he's going for a Rod of Aoi instead.
Rod of Aoi.
Or AUI, sorry, since I guess that's how his name is actually supposed to be pronounced. Even
it was all beautiful all the same. Interesting though, it does look like IFG are interested in just securing this area. I assume this is mostly just to wait out the Roshan. I don't doubt they'll go up the high ground without it. In fact, Roshan is up really, really soon as well, so they're probably just going to apply pressure to just lock Bravado in base. Santo toying with his life a little bit as he goes forward, tosses through the tornado.
Radiant's middle tower has
And you
fallen.
can see good work there by Chosen. This is something that Bravado actually do pretty well. We haven't been given an opportunity to see them do this, but they are very, very good at split pushing and just applying pressure to other points of the map, using as much space as they can. And Chosen doing exactly that. Picking up it's an important objective. I mean, tier 1 towers give you so much movement around the map, and that's one less for them to use. Roshan, though, is back up, and I think we're about ready to get to the beautiful side of this fight as iFG just prepare the landscape for the inevitable attack.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a very good feint by iFG pushing up that lane so they could fall back and take Roche. Unfortunately, because the PL did push out mid, the Drow was forced to TP back and
Oh, I don't know about this though. Hold on. Yeah, in this lane we do have Asphalt goes on to Splendid. Can they bring down Scant? Will bring down Scant. They could come into close to Asphalt here. He does get the Shadow Grave up onto him as he desperately tries to limp out of this, but he will get caught out all the same and will be brought down. As Seeding Move now also got to get out of here desperately. Will use his abilities to go down the ramp, but it does look like they'll pick up another kill on the Basil as well as Santo. Caught up in the air now, this could be really bad. The silence there to support him, but Santo should be brought down, and is. And now this means that Roshan is up for grabs for Bravado Gaming as they chase away the scurrying iFG remnants. And this is exactly what iFG did not need. And I gotta say, I was really surprised when that engagement occurred. And unsurprisingly, Roshan make their way into the rush, but
yeah, I mean this move is just as typical and as standard and as obvious as possible. So a team pushes your lane or your rack or something. A team pushes as 5. You have one hero split pushing somewhere else. You force a TP back. Once you confirm that an enemy hero is TP back, you then fight the remaining heroes. So like they need to know that they cannot stay there. After the Drow has TP'd out, you have to get back. Which, like I said, was why it was so good that the PL was able to force the Drow back, because it meant that they basically couldn't immediately secure Roshan after that feint push. Instead, they hang around there, they take a fight, which, like you said, was a very questionable thing to take. Like, I don't even understand why they're trying to fight there. Like, best case scenario, you probably just drop one hero and say, okay, well, we can't get Roche, but at least we can stop them from getting it. Instead, they take a fight, end up getting caught quite a bit. And, yeah, I mean, they basically, like, I would say, fell for the oldest trick in the book. And so now we have the Aegis up for the Dire on the PL. The PL, who, like I said, at some point is getting too big for the Radiant to deal with. And honestly, this is probably about that point. He's actually well over halfway to his Scotty. And I would say once he has that Scotty done, he is basically unkillable. I mean, he's not unkillable, but he's unburstable. And if he's unburstable, it means that even if he does die, he's already done more than enough damage in a team fight to have secured a win for his team.
yep. And on top of that, I mean, it just means that iFG, they have to wait for that next window. I mean, they can't go high ground here without it, but it does look like Cloud's going to catch out Spinner, but he's going to blink straight over that arrow, so he will be A-OK in the end. And unfortunately for iFG, looks like they may find themselves in a little bit of trouble now. Once again, we do expect the game to slow down here. I don't imagine that Bravado would be too keen on looking for big objectives just yet, as iFG would obviously just want to wait out the next Aegis opportunity. But in fact, iFG is smoking up here. They're going to try slow things down from the Bravado lineup. It's not a particularly scary looking squadron of attackers here, but we'll see how it works out for them.
The thing that's really worth pointing out is that, I mean, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, that most of their pushes came after pickoffs. Like, think in the early game how often this Spear Breaker was catching heroes out. And think about it now. Now, a big part of that is just that Bravado have learned that they need to play much more carefully. They've stayed as 4 or 5 much more. Although the truth is, the PL has been off by himself pushing, and the PL was the one who was getting killed earlier as well. So, like, I think maybe they were just a little bit too focused on that clock and didn't kind of remember how they got themselves into that position in the first place, which unfortunately has cost them obviously quite a bit. So you're right, they need to wait out this Aegis. They just want to farm. They're actually doing a good job farming the enemy jungle, but at the same time the PL's farming their jungle. And they can't really go kill the PL. Oh, Cloud.
Well, he's actually got himself a decent position. All the same, Dreamy going to be brought down here shortly, very, very low. There's going to be the end of him. As Splendid now takes a lot of damage from Santo, Seeding Boob, and Cloud. With Cloud now backing off desperately as Chosen descends on him. Will get healed up. Silence comes through, but assuming the Deafening Blast comes through, but Cloud is still in a lot of trouble here. Will be brought down in the end. Chosen now on the front foot, still engaging on Seeding Boob. Seeding Boob, nothing left in the tank, will be stomped down by Scant's Familiar. and that does mean that fight that started out a little bit promising ends up very, very bad for Bravado. Harry, I'm sure you saw that one coming though.
Yeah, of course. Cloud can't be in the front of the fight. He's always going to die to the PL. Like I said, I mean, they just can't deal with the PL. I mean, you have the Invoker, who has the Mjolnir out. He's actually going to get an easy kill in Scant, at least. So there's that. Tornado? No, okay,
Well, Tornado's going to be it.
Yeah. I mean, usually you'd want to use the Tornado as soon as he casts Grave Shield.
Yeah, Santa could be in trouble here. BKB's up though, but still, say hello to my little friend. Agnum stepped up on Splendid, and we just watched Santo evaporate.
Yeah, so, as I was saying, they have the Mjolnir on Santo, but it's just not enough. I mean, like, he sat there, not even being the one focused, because they were killing the Drow, and he was, like, watching, and he used Deafening Blast and stuff, but he's not even attacking. And, like, it's actually not really a mistake that he's not attacking, because even if he's attacking, he's not clearing out the illusions. So it kind of just shows that, like, this strategy, this Mjolnir, it doesn't really work. Now, maybe it was okay anyway, because, like I said, it allowed him to farm and push and stuff like this a little bit faster, but it just shows that they can't deal with the PL at a certain point. And that point has arrived. And so, like I said, if they didn't get that next Aegis and at least get a Rax with it, they lost the game. And like I said, I'm pretty sure they have lost the game at this point. Obviously, the game isn't over yet. And I kind of thought they had lost the previous game, basically in the laning phase, and they ended up putting a much better show of it. Admittedly, this is more one-dimensional in regards to their lineup. So I would say that I'm even more certain that they do end up losing this game, even though they're like not really far behind in the net worth graph. But that's just the nature of Drow lineups. I mean, if you don't get stuff by a certain period of time, what is Drow going to do? Like, she can't deal with the PL at this point. She's just going to get bursted down by the Lina, as we saw happen to Santo there. And yeah, I mean, maybe she can like man fight against the Viper or the supports, but that's not really what you want your one position to have to do at this point in the game.
Well, at this point in the game, one position is running for the hills because there's a TP coming into Familiars. It's coming in the form of Chosen, and he's gonna have to get out of there because the Horde has arrived. And Bravado just playing. They just look so much more comfortable now. It's got to be said. And they looked really like they were struggling early on, but now they're just playing with a lot of aggression, and you can see them starting to do what they do best, just using the map, causing trouble for iFG, and just really waiting out the next rush on. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I mean, probably once they get the next, assuming that Bravado can in fact secure the next rush on, probably will be the opportunity they're looking for to, you know, take one of these racks, get a big objective, and iFG are then in a world of trouble.
Yeah. So I would pretty much agree with you. I mean, I think it's going to be difficult for IFG. I mean, IFG can steal the next Roche. That's like the possibility for them. And if they do that, they can probably push with the Aegis. Probably is the operative word there. I think, to be perfectly honest, Santo just creep skipping a little bit here. Even if they get the Aegis, I think PL actually can probably kill Drow twice. And if they give it to Santo, I'm not really sure that he can have the impact either. Santo, speaking of, running for his life here. Doesn't have Ghost Walk yet, just decides to BKB TP. They've actually got nothing to stop that. But, yeah, the thing is, the Drow, like, I don't know. I mean, she can do a lot of damage, but to whom? It's kind of still the same thing. Like, she can't kill the heroes that matter. The Lena's always going to have casted her spells, and the PL is just unkillable for her. So I don't even know what she's building towards this point. I mean, she's getting a BKB so that she can stay alive in fights, but the longer fights go on, the worse it is for their team. They need the BKB to push anyway, but I just don't think it'll get the job done. And Santo, like, he seemed to be having a lot. I mean, he's still second on net worth, but he went for travels. Doesn't really help much. He's actually still sitting on 2 boots now, and I don't even know what his next item can really be. I guess a Hex is the only real way maybe they could win this game, just by hexing the PL and catching him out, but I'm not so sure that that's actually even going to happen.
I get the feeling you're going to hate me for this one, but I kind of feel like I'd like to see Atmosphere look for something like a Scythe of Ice. I mean, one of the major problems he has at the moment is like actually catching out these very mobile heroes. And he's certainly making money with that Midas. I mean, he's picked up that Assault Cross and, well, at the moment charging it on the map. But, you know, I kind of feel... In fact, let me put it this way, rather. I feel that that is the only way that I have to get in, is that they can find consistent pickoffs, force some buybacks and get back in, and I feel like Scythe of Ice is the best item to do it on as many heroes as you can.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, they probably only need one Scythe. Well, I mean, you need as many... You could always use as many Scythe devices as you can get. But I think just having the one on the Invoker is fine, since, first of all, he's going to... Well, should be able to get to it sooner, but he's actually going for MKB, so he's really going kind of like late-game Invoker. I don't know. I mean, it's got to be said, this is at least an interesting strategy from IFG, that they're kind of accepting the fact that their A plan didn't really work. So their Santo, at least, is just going to go and basically be as late game as possible, as an Invoker can be. And who knows, maybe it'll work. I mean, it's certainly a novel approach. But yeah, so I don't hate you for the decision. Like I said, I think hexes are fine. I would actually rather the Spirit Breaker get a Shadow Blade. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it would matter too much right now, since there's very nice warding, or sentries by Scant, and they would actually get vision of the Shadow Breaker, or Spirit Breaker, yeah, Shadow Breaker, basically, charging almost anywhere. But I think him getting the Shadow Blade, top Santo, playing with fire there, both of those heroes. I think if he got the Shadow Blade, and Santo can walk around and Ghost Walk with the Hex, it would be their best chance to get a pick off and turn that into a push. But since Santo went for the Demon Edge anyway, I guess it would be quite reasonable for a Hex on the Spirit Breaker.
Well, I want to go back to another point you made as well. I think we're just almost discussing Dota here, almost like we're sharing a cold one. But it kind of does feel that, you know, in this case, that I feel almost reverting to almost a plan of we'll wait for Bravado to make a mistake, and then we'll have the guns to damage them for it, which is certainly not their A plan, as you mentioned. But at least something. I mean, I love this about IFG. They really don't give up, and things aren't working. They don't just make the same mistake over and over again, and they're being very patient in the game they're playing at the moment. They know that they have to wait for the Aegis. They've been, I guess it was a mistake sort of towards this sort of area here, but all the same, we'll see if they can just hold out for a little longer. And talking about that area there, they're all marching through there at the moment, as we do see Cloud leading the charge here with the Shadow Blade. He's, in fact, not Shadow, Silver Edge, but he's got to be able to get in there, find something completely alone and find a pick off. But Bravado are nowhere near there. They've actually smoked up themselves on the other side of the map, and I think both these sides are pretty much preparing for the inevitable Roshan. And I think if you can get a big pick off here, might actually force a buyback, certainly will cause troubles for the opposing side. And we'll see who actually comes out on top, and does look like Ceiling Boom's going to be the target here. No atmosphere forced out in fact, and he's seeing a low damage. Ceiling Boom, the primary target, is destroyed there. Splendid and Co just beating down onto Atmosphere. He's got no chance. The silence comes through from Cloud. He gets hexed up immediately, and this is tragic for IFG, as they are just completely sent to the cleaners. Cloud will eventually fall, doing what he can, but is brought down. Just Santo surviving at the moment. He would have to do something quite amazing here to keep his team's hopes alive, because Roshan is indeed back
He's
up.
going to backdoor the bottom racks. I think he gets
options.
credit from mid. Yeah, he does. The mid creeps are close enough that he actually gets to hit this without backdoor protection. They do use the glyph. Are they actually going to beat? Yeah, Lena's going to be able to stop him. He has BKB, so I think he can finish it. No, decides against it.
Yep, too worried about where the opponent, other players were, but he's actually bought quite a bit of time for his team here. I mean, we do have some of the heroes respawning. It's going to be really difficult to bring down Bravado in this situation regardless. They certainly have a wealth of a lead at the moment, and the pressure is on as Phantom Lance going to push down the bottom lane. And it does look like Bravado are finally turning their attention to Roshan, and he is not long for this wall. It's also a cheese Roshan, so it means, I mean, pretty much to me, this is now Bravado's game to lose, as opposed to it being a fair fight, because they have everything they need to seal the deal right here.
Yeah, it's almost impossible for them to lose. I think even if IFG DDoS 2 players in Bravado, the other ones could just control the remaining heroes and probably still win the game. Oh, Santo. Man, these two heroes keep running into each other. There's going to be a charge, but Santo needs to actually have some sort of disable here. Waiting for Tornado.
Throws it through, does not connect, and Splendid running to his friends. Once again, these familiars, the bringer of Chosen. And I think now Bravado will probably look at the biggest objectives on the map. There are some tier 2s that they can potentially just walk through, but certainly they've got to be thinking, cool guys, it's about that time that we can start going on the high ground. But all the same, there's also not a huge amount of pressure on them to do so. I mean, look at this Phantom Lancer. Scotty, level 2 Diffusal Blade, Manta, Butterfly. Obviously, this travel's almost as good as having a max level travel, since it does indeed allow you to get to the familiars in this case. And really just toss out that Midas for something else, and you're looking very, very healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the deal is huge. Like, Santo bought time for his team there, which was a good thing, but buying time for what? Like, we've already established, I'm pretty sure that there's really no way that IFG can actually kill Bravado's heroes. Admittedly, that last fight was kind of, that wasn't a fluke, necessarily, but IFG did something that is quite bad, which is they smoked up on top of an opposing observer ward. they smoked and went like this. It's so annoying that you can't draw on the minimap. They went like this. Anyway, and Bravado actually thought that they were going for the Roshan, so they actually smoked and came like this. In the end, though, this did put iFG in a worse position because there was a ward in the mid here, which actually gave vision of the Spirit Breaker here, and as Bravado came from the high ground, they were able to get a better engage off. Regardless, I think even if iFG get a better engage than Bravado, I still think Bravado wins, obviously unless they manage to kill the Phantom Lancer, but the Phantom Lancer, he has buyback at this point, he has travels, so even if they kill him once, he's just coming back out to fight. And Invoker, I guess, was somewhere that he shouldn't have been, yeah, a little bit far mid.
Really farmed. I mean, at this point in the game, that's certainly not where you want to be. Maybe Sandra's feeling a little bit desperate to find some way in, and it does give him a nice 70-second window to just make something happen here. But once again, I just feel there's no pressure on Bravado at this point. They can literally just farm until their hearts are content, and the game should resolve itself. Cloud, he has picked up quite a bit of cash now, often that top lane moment, you can Silver Edge away. But this thing with 3.4k, what do you think he could go here that might have some sort of effect on this game? I kind of feel like you're going to say nothing.
Yeah, yeah. I was literally forming the words in my mouth as you said it. Nothing. I mean, there legitimately is not an item which actually makes a difference for him. I mean, the best item he can go for is a butterfly. There are no MKVs on the Dire, and illusion heroes can't get MKVs. Oh, actually, they cancel the travels here. Chance to fight.
Dreamy is just getting destroyed, but Chosen beating down with it. Silence does come out. Mantis through it though, and Cloud now has to BKB out of this one. Splendid tried to beat down with it, not able to do so. Atlas is trying to stand his ground, and will survive a little bit longer thanks to Sealing Boot, but all the same, he is being crushed now by Splendid, and this could be the end. Santo back on the field though. What can he do here? Desperately wants to get back in the fight. Has Meteor and Tornado lined up at the moment. Very high into Exort at the moment. He does toss one through. CH maybe a little bit far forward, but he does have that Aegis, so it will pop a little bit cheaply, but he'll be back on the field in a moment. Then the Meteor flies through and Chosen starts beating down Santo. Santo pops the BKB, but still in quite a bit of trouble here. CH gets pushed away by Cloud on the side. Chosen now going to beam down on to Cloud himself, pick up the kill. Santo disappears back into base as the racks begin to fall, and iFG's hopes pretty soon with as well. Mudaze pretty aggressively walks in, and Scant almost looks to accept the offering, but the Glimmer Cape is there. Chosen going to dodge the Tornado, and surely one more hit or so will do it. The greedy Rax is standing as CH eventually will take it. As things slowed down by Scant with that familiar, and Santo now being pushed back by Splendid. The damage has been done. The big Rax has fallen, and Bravado making it a little bit easy in the end, as Splendid also picks up a pretty free kill there in the end on Sealing Boob.
Yeah, and Scant actually has 3/4 of the money that he needs for his ag items, which I presume should be the next thing he picks up. The Atos has actually paid off quite well for him. I think it was a good pickup in the end, even though I think normally we would say that Aghanims is the default pickup. But yeah, I think that's been pretty good for him, and yeah, he's played pretty well. Bird Micro has been quite excellent. Santo actually looking for a kill on Chosen here, but kind of gives himself away. Didn't actually have Ghost Walk up. Is he still going to go for this? Looks like he is. Doesn't really quite have the skulls that he wants.
This may have been a mistake.
Yeah. Now, Santo's just, I mean, I don't know, you can call it tilting. I'm not even sure if it's necessarily tilting. It's more, he's just kind of feeling the pressure that his team's going to lose this game, so he's just really trying to do something. And it's kind of novel. I'm not necessarily apologizing for him. Oh, poor Mudaze. But yeah, I mean, it's more just that, like, if he does nothing, if he just kind of like plays with his team and farms, there's no way they win. So he's trying hard to really make something happen himself. Unfortunately, this isn't paying off for him. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's really not anything better he could be doing at this point in the game anyway, so whatever. I mean, well, there is. He could be not dying, but it just really wouldn't.
There is always that. I gotta say, I mean, if we're gonna go there, I think iFG has put up a really great performance. Bravado Blue are an amazing side, and they are certainly, you know, the one of the sides you think can maybe upset the big dogs Bravado Emotion. But iFG have put up a really commendable performance against them, and I think there's a lot of some time before the DGC finals, maybe some time for the World Cup, something maybe just tip things a little bit. But at the moment, Bravado are looking too good. Atmosphere being smashed down as we do see CH1 getting very, very low. that Cloud not going to be able to finish things off, but Bravado certainly are. I think the GGs will follow very shortly, but it certainly was an interesting game, and there it is. Oh, Harry, any last thoughts?
No, that's pretty much it. Just want to thank everyone who tuned in and watched this game, and congratulate everyone who bet rares on Bravado, because, well, you're, with the odds, not that much richer, but at least slightly richer than you were before this game started.
Fair comment. Yeah, thanks very much for casting with me, Harry. It's always a pleasure casting with you. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We certainly appreciate the support, and we hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. If you want to check us out more, you can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Come visit us at our website, iFG.Tilt today. And of course, check out Do Gaming League's website. We can find out all the information you need to follow this South African League. But yeah, that's it from us, guys. Enjoy the rest of the evening. It's Monday tomorrow, which is never great, but at least we can go into it with a smile. Cheers, everyone.
See you guys.